Hello, welcome to episode 118 of Floating Through Film. It is your host Luke, and today we are continuing the series I chose on early Jean-Luc Godard, and we will be doing two more of his 60s films. The first one being Petit Soldat, which released in 1963, I think it was. Even though it was filmed in, as we're going to talk about, like a lot earlier, like a couple years earlier.
Oh, yes,
like really right after Breathless, but this it took a while to come out. And then we also are doing Alphaville, which came out in 1965. So
yeah, you're right. 1963.
okay, yeah.
What year was the film? I guess you're gonna talk about.
It was right after Breathless, so it was like 1960. Okay. I think it was filmed. Like I think he literally he wrapped on Breathless and then immediately went to this. Oh, this got delayed a bit by the Breathless some press he had to do for it or something. But anyway, before we get into it, actually maybe he might have shot this right after it released. Actually, maybe. Yeah, it's one of the two. But yeah, before we get into it, I'll introduce my co-host Blake.
What's up?
And Danny.
Hello.
Before we get into the actual films themselves, I'll go ahead and just ask y'all overall thoughts on both these movies. I'm very interested. I guess none of you have seen Le Petit Soldat before, right?
No.
Okay, so and then both of you have seen Alphaville, which I'm gonna start with Blake because I'm interested. I'm interested to see what you think of Le Petit Soldat, but I think we're both very intrigued what you think of Alphaville, because you famously.
Look at him wait till he got to Alphaville.
I know I had to do this right away.
Give some backstory at least.
Well, I mean,
there's no backstory.
Well, in March of 2018, was this your first Godard film?
I actually didn't look. I should have.
It might have been, actually.
Or it might have Breathless. Was it Breathless?
Let me look.
Yeah, when did you watch Breathless?
What if it was the Image book or something?
It would have been
that would be the most Blake has first Godard.
It wasn't the Image book.
That's funny.
Godard's Passion.
Film socialism.
Okay, I definitely watched Breathless after.
Wait, when did you watch Breathless first time?
2019.
Oh, shit.
It was probably Alphaville then, because I definitely didn't watch any of these other ones.
You probably didn't even know who he was.
Oh, no, I definitely
You watch it because it's a sci-fi movie.
That's definitely why.
Old sci-fi. But, so March of 2018, you gave it 1 star.
I don't even remember my old review, which you probably know better than I do.
Review's hilarious.
Read it.
Profoundly boring. On paper, this film has an intriguing concept of a supercomputer that has subjugated humanity. However, the film fails to deliver on this promising concept by being first and foremost completely lifeless, along with having just atrocious characters that are not remotely likable. I would go as far as to say I actively hated them. I would not recommend watching this because honestly, I wasted almost 2 hours. So you were very critical of it.
Very.
You asked that you're a I don't know.
Like a journalist,
journalist. So Blake, respond. What are your thoughts?
He's saying it like I'm on trial.
Okay.
This is literally almost 6 years later, right?
It is 6 years later.
Over 6 years later. So, okay, but first, what are your thoughts on Le Petit Soldat?
You couldn't even wait.
I know.
You just had to get that out there.
I had to. We had to
before people turn it off.
Get that out Stay tuned.
But Le Petit Soldat, so it's with a lot of Godard movies. I'm just starting with Alphaville because I did like Alphaville more this time, which happens a lot with Godard movies, my second time watching.
Okay.
Because the first time I don't understand what's happening. I wasn't understanding what was really happening in Le Petit Soldat until we got to the torture shit, and then I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of what the movie's about. But
the movie kind of slows down there.
Yeah, but yeah, so with Le Petit Soldat, it's actually a lot like Alphaville, like you were saying. The stories and plots are kind of similar. It's just one's kind of spy setting, and the other one's sci-fi setting. He's kind of just tackling different genres in that way. But I didn't love Le Petit Soldat. I didn't hate it either. I think it was. I don't know. I wasn't vibing with it. I think that's my main thing because with the first watch with Godard films, it's always just hard with me. But because for the most part, a lot is going on the screen again, like it always is in his movies.
Yeah.
But with Alphaville, like I said, I did like it more this time. I think
you liked it more, but did you like it?
No, was that man? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I liked it. I did like it. No, I did like it, but
we could save Alphaville.
Yeah, we could save it. Or just for your more in-depth thoughts.
For more in-depth,
Yeah,
but
yeah, Le Petit Soldat, it was okay.
Okay.
Didn't love it.
I didn't love it either. I like it though. I think I might like it more than Blake, but I don't know. It's an interesting movie because this is one like Godard's movies get better the more you watch it. But I don't know. He's hit or miss in terms of like if I really agree with like kind of the rhythm of the movie in a way, you know.
No, I agree.
And this one is kind of like up back and forth.
Yeah, it can be it's just very confusing, honestly. I think that's kind of what he's going for because like that's kind of like what the Algerian War was like.
Yes. And as I'm sure we're talking about, like you might mention with the release, like it got delayed because of the Algerian War, and then by the time it actually came out, like the movie wasn't irrelevant in a way, you know, as when already if it
not as
out,
much, but
yeah. So what is it? Yeah.
But it's still interesting though. It's like
it's an interesting concept. Like even when I think about the concept of like torture, like how Godard apparently mentioned that he got hate because he showed the FLN or the Algerian side of torture when he was pro-Algerian. For the most part,
but he said, but it would have been easier for me to do the.
Yeah, but it basically was like a filmmaker answer, like a bit too easy to show like the bad guys doing the torture, you know, so to make it more complicated. But from that, I kind of respect it. Like, there's certain things I definitely like. Every Godard movie has like a lot of things I respect. Like, there's a lot of good images in this. But even when we're gonna talk about Alphaville next, like, I just like that one so much better.
See, you love Alphaville though. Right?
Yeah. This one I like and I appreciate.
Okay. Well, yeah, I do really like Petit Soldat. It's not like it's probably gonna be one of the lesser film for me personally. There's definitely a lot more films we're gonna talk about that I like more than it. Although I still really like it. Like as you were saying, like the topics he talks about are really interesting with the Algerian War at the time, which I just find interesting, especially with the French films from this period that talk about it. But also, I think not only is it about like, because obviously it is about the Algerian War, we can't like deny it, but it's a very personal film, especially because I think Godard, this might be I've always like protagonist, you could say, this might be the most similar to him, or at least like the biggest. He says, hold on, I can.
But yeah,
he says, the little soldier is more or less my spokesman, but not totally. It's easy for me to identify with him. Basically, I show a man who analyzes himself, who discovers himself to be different from the idea that he had of himself. Personally, when I look into the mirror, I often have the same feeling. Yeah. So it's like...
I kind of like that concept that he's trying to build the film. And did you read the Brody section on this film?
No, that's where I got that quote.
Okay, yes, that's in the Brody. Okay, because he also talks about the film that was basically most influential on him. Pickpocket.
Okay, yes, yeah, okay.
And that quote is why, in a way. You know, this kind of guy that's like basically like self-analyzing himself. You can even tell by the way he talks about the way he uses the soundtrack in the movie, where it's like all the sound is kind of like memory sound, you know? So it's not like you don't get a lot of ambient noises. Yeah. You know, it's only the sound of someone like that would remember telling a story would put in the, in a way, you know? So it feels much closer to you that way.
Definitely. But also, not even just that, but it's also like kind of a film about, it's like a document of him falling in love with Anna Karita.
Yes.
Because literally, like, this is the set he fell in love with.
That's where I'm like, the movie's a little more messy for me. Like,
no, I definitely.
In terms of his Anna Karina movies, this is just on the lower end in terms of like his framing. He still has some great shots of her and stuff, but like just like River Seville last week we talked about, just amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Even Alphaville's got some great.
He was definitely still very young during this movie, like you can tell.
Honestly, right after Breathless.
Yeah, literally right after Breathless.
Yeah, we did that. Why did you do them in order though? Was there any reason?
Not really. I just like. I just did it.
I'm honestly just now realizing that.
Yeah. I wasn't. I probably could have done that. I don't know. I still just went in release order.
Okay.
But yeah, I definitely.
Actually, no, never mind. They said release order. Fuck, never mind.
Yeah.
That actually makes sense. I'm like.
But yeah, I mean, I could have done that though. Too. Yes. Like it would also make sense.
He made so many movies in this period, like and he would be shooting multiple movies at the same time. I'm sure, like we'll talk.
No, it's definitely because, like, in a way, this movie also like the story is like it's like very simple. Like at least like obviously the way he tells it can be kind of really confusing, especially for me. Like this is like my third time watching. I'm still like kind of like confused. Like it's kind of hard to follow at points, but like if you say the plot points like in order, it's like, oh, that's like okay, like it's like very simple, very like I guess it makes sense kind of, and then but it's the way he presents it, like in a way it's like you feel like it's gonna be very mundane, but like there's a lot of like little like just the way his camera moves in this movie I really like it's very like youthful. It's like he's like swing panning to stuff.
I still think it feels mundane at times.
Oh, it definitely. Well, I mean, yes,
because a lot of Godard's movies, and he does better at this in other movies than in this one, but a lot of them feel like lectures, like he's just lecturing to you.
I guess he's
it gets a little boring. Where that's where I do kind of still agree with a little bit of my Alphaville review. Like it is still a little bit boring. Like I mean, come on. It's like you're saying at a fucking lecture hall sometimes.
No.
It is. It is.
Dave's like, oh, so you hate philosophy, huh?
yeah, that's basically what he's saying. Or he hates the alpha philosophy guy.
The alpha philosophy, Alpha 60.
Alpha 60 or Alpha 5.
No, Blake needs to be logical. Blake needs to be logical. He agrees with Von Braun. You know?
Yeah, honestly.
No, you guys are the logic lovers. You guys are the ones sitting there listening to it.
Okay.
I'm the one looking at Karina, not paying attention to the lecture. I'm just kidding.
You look the end. She does like.
Yeah, he can't even go away to get Alpha hate out.
Damn. Okay, that's
we'll
crazy.
get to it.
We'll get to it. But yeah, but also I think this is probably the final thing I'll say about it before we get into it. But like, it's also about I think like freedom in a way, because like basically what does that mean to be like a free person? Because like if you notice his character, like he kind of wants to be free. He thinks he's like having a free will, but like at the whole time it's like he's never getting out of this like situation. And there's a quote by Godard where he says, "My prisoner is someone who is asked to do a thing and who doesn't want to do it, just doesn't want to, and he resists on principle. That's how I see liberty from a practical point of view. Being free is being able to do what you want when you want." So like I think that's like a big part of the film, especially in contrast to like the Algerian War, where the Algerians want to be free. Like it's kind of like set across like that's like kind of the backdrop of it in a way.
I like that idea, but and I agree because like you see it especially in certain points. Like I think he's even getting tortured by the Algerians at one point. He's like, "I would tell you, I just don't want to." He's like, "It's not because I have any like ideal or anything. It's because I just don't want to."
Yeah. Like
that, the idea of like you have the freedom to at least choose in that moment. Even if you're being tortured.
Yeah.
Like, at least that's what he's trying to say. But have you seen The Lady from Shanghai?
Yeah.
Because Richard Brody said like I already mentioned Pickpocket, but he said at least plot wise in a way or narrative wise, the biggest influence is Lady from Shanghai. Have you seen it?
I have seen Lady from. It's been a long.
It's been a long time. Okay, but do you remember how it ends?
You'd have to remind me.
Basically, the twist of her like kind of like revealing that she's also evil in a way.
Okay, yeah.
But like Richard Brody says like because remember how this movie ends where like he kind of also gets tricked at the very end too, where he does the killing and then only after he finds
it's like just super sudden too. It's like
it's like I like that idea of you have the freedom to choose in a way, but also like there could be bigger forces like fucking with you the whole time. Or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, like it's more gray than that. Just because you have freedom doesn't mean like everything's gonna right for you or something.
Yeah, that's yes.
Like both those movies in a way feel like it's like these characters that are trying to find themselves, to see who they are, but like or some because I watched Lady from Shanghai yesterday and like the ending of that is like basically like he even says in voiceover like I found out I'm just a big idiot this whole time or something like that. But in a way, the same idea, like kind of like finding who you are, like
a schmuck.
And you could say because both of them use like the star of the woman in a way too, like in that way you could say they're about cinema at the same time, like how we're drawn to characters that maybe not who they really are.
Yes, like a Hitchcock kind of.
Yeah, that's why Anna Karina doesn't like. Isn't she also she works for the Algerians? She's on the Algerian side, so like it's kind of like that. That's why I'm not really. I don't buy that kind of love story, that connection as much.
I can see that.
Versus like the Lady from Shanghai, you definitely buy it.
Okay.
You gotta watch.
Well, you're actually praising Wells.
Oh, it's a great movie. Okay. It's better than this one for sure.
I mean, I need to rewatch it for sure.
It's a little more narrative, but still. I mean, that one's a great movie, honestly.
Yeah,
I like that one.
Orson Welles. But also, it's also interesting because this is also Karina's first role in anything too.
Oh, the first movie together.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in general too, like she'd never been in a movie before this.
Okay.
Like,
see, I can kind of see like, I do like the photographer scene because learning about how like Richard Brody talking about how like they filmed it where it's like So apparently he was either feeding him lines or something.
Okay, yeah.
Because the questions were like from Godard. It was like real time almost.
Yeah.
Her like he wanted like her reaction. So like when she like just says like, "Why are you asking?" She says something like, "I'm getting." When he asks like, "Are you getting nervous?" and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to get like her actual reaction because he actually liked her and stuff.
Yeah.
Like what kind of? I forgot what all the questions he asked. I'm sure we'll talk about it. Because like apparently it was like right after this movie where they started dating.
No, yeah, he fell in love with her on the
It
set.
was on the set of
and
this.
I think he moved in right after, right afterwards.
So that scene alone is kind of interesting, just from that perspective.
Oh yeah, especially and also we'll get to it. Actually,
Okay,
we'll get to it. But yeah, we can go ahead and get into it. Because as you said, you kind of mentioned it before, but this movie is like in voiceover basically. It's a voiceover narrated film, and it starts from the beginning because he's like. For me, the time for action has passed. I'm older now. The time for reflection begins, and that's kind of when the narrative starts.
It's just crazy that a second movie Godard was saying that.
Honestly,
like knowing how many movies he was gonna make and stuff after that.
That's kind of crazy. But basically,
he was like so young, like when he said that.
Yeah, I mean, literally, like, damn, good point. I didn't even think about that.
Because he was like, "This is the character I identify with most too."
Well, yeah, that's how I feel at least. Like he didn't specifically say.
But he also said that as a young Godard.
Yeah, as like as he made it, like.
But.
Because
I will say, because the one he says something, I forgot to read it. I have to read it now because it's like basically Bresson propaganda. Where Richard Brody says, "Okay, Bresson's film obsessed Godard, who went to see it at least 10 times, sometimes ducking into a theater just to see 10 or 20 minutes of it. In 1983, Godard recalled, I would surely like to be moved now as much as I had been moved by Pickpocket. One thought, such a thing could be done."
Damn.
No, that's tier though.
Oh, it's S tier. I put it in the S tier. Yes, I did. What are you talking about?
I don't even remember. Honestly.
I gave it 5.
No, I think to me it was honestly the same way. He like, there's a Varda quote where she's like, "Yeah, like, he like dragged me to see Pickpocket so many times." Like,
I gotta find that.
So no, I gotta find it too. But basically, it's also interesting because this is also set in Switzerland, like the most like neutral
Well, that's where he's from.
It's all it is also where he's from. Yeah, it's in Geneva, Switzerland. But basically, it's this movie also moves quite fast at the beginning. It does slow down at points, but like it's very rapid because he honestly also another similar between this and Alphaville. He's a reporter. Or no, he's a spy, but he's posing as a reporter.
Yes,
so
yes.
With
that's
the
what Blake was saying. Like
double
there's 2 different genres, but like Godard is like the central character. That's why I can't see how you see Lemmy Caution as boring though.
Yeah, okay, that's crazy.
Like he's.
I didn't say he himself was boring.
But he's like in every scene.
Yeah.
So, by extension, you're saying he's boring. His face alone is amazing.
His voice,
yes.
his mannerisms.
Yeah, Blake's hating it, calling it boring. Yeah, of course he wants like a fucking Ryan Gosling on screen or something, probably.
Give me a Harrison Ford, you know.
But
no, I like Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford's good. Yeah,
he's kind of boring. He's a boring actor. He's carried by the script. Let's be honest.
But anyway, basically, he's trying to find information because he's a part of this like terrorist group. Or I think they may call themselves like anti-terrorists. I think, because like, but I mean, really they're like just as bad. Like, he's probably even worse. Yeah. Like, which means the
way they're trapping him too. Basically,
yeah.
To kill.
But basically, he's like, it's honestly kind of you're kind of getting introduced to him. Like you get like shots of him. Honestly, the scenes where he's like shooting like the city from like in like the car and everything is like maybe my favorite moments of the film. And basically, he's kind of like he takes pictures of people, you know, as like his journalist kind of like.
Yeah, we get some good shots of that.
Yeah, profession. Yes, and basically, the movie kind of starts off with like him running into a friend, who's basically tells her about this girl that he's seeing that he wants her to take him to take pictures of, and she's like, and then they make it like this guy's like, oh no, I don't want to do it, I don't care, like. And then he says like this guy bets him that he'll fall in love in 5 minutes. $50, yeah.
No, did you remember because the guy's the main guy's like I only sleep with girls I'm in love with.
Oh, and he's
like I bet you'll fall in love in 5 minutes then.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just such a like harsh trick to play whenever you know that you're taking him to see Anna Karina. Like,
yeah.
Like, but it's also Godard calling his shot too because they hadn't like this was their first movie
yeah,
together. And then the fact that they got, I don't think they might have got married right after.
They moved in.
They moved in. Okay.
They were married in '61, right?
Something like that.
So soon after this, anyway. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was very quick.
But then to keep going with the actual life.
But we see her initially with like the toy dog. It was like so bizarre too. But
and what other movie did we do recently with the toy dog?
Oh, The Obscure Object. Or
no,
it's
it's Discreet Charm. Yeah, where the terrorist has the toy.
No,
dog.
it's not. It's Obscure Object. It's Obscure Object.
No, it's Discreet Charm where he's with the friends and he's like all of a sudden he just gets the gun and he goes and shoots.
I thought that was Obscure Object.
No, it's Discreet Charm.
It is Discreet Charm.
It's Fernando Rey.
Fernando Rey's an Obscure Object.
No, but it's his office in Discreet Charm. Because it's that terrorist, like...
no, it is the Obscure Object.
It is Obscure
what?
Object.
No!
It
is.
No,
Because it's the terrorist she's switching between the French and the Spanish one.
No, that's a different character! No,
I'm pretty sure it's Obscure Object.
I 100%...
Because it's the girl from... It's the terrorist girl from Obscure Object.
No, it's a different girl.
Yeah, it's the terrorist.
No.
Because remember the terrorist girl...
No, it's a totally different person.
No, we're going to settle this off camera. We're going to settle off air.
Days were on this one.
I'm pretty sure I'm right.
You are right.
Okay,
you are right.
But anyway, we see her initially with a toy dog, and then basically they drive her around. Some great shots, of course. But basically after, like, I forgot what they talked about, but like basically like this guy's like he's already fallen into the trap, you know, like he initially starts walking away, but then like basically has to runs back and tells her like wave her hair, and then just gives the guy $50.
It's like all you need to know.
All you need to know, yeah. And then I think he goes and like rides a train, and then basically we get a voiceover here where he says up to now my story has been simple, a guy with no ideals, which is also like an important.
Well,
very important.
The next line is really important too.
What's the next line?
What about tomorrow?
What about tomorrow? Okay.
Because like this idea of choice.
Yes.
He's like, okay, even if my whole life up to now has been no ideals, like what about tomorrow?
Yeah.
Like you still have a choice.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of freedom that we said the movie is about.
Yeah.
You know.
And like the rejection.
It's like you still have
freedom.
tomorrow. Like what are you gonna choose? You know.
Yes.
Because like. Especially during these early movies, he's definitely influenced by existentialist philosophy.
No, Sartre.
Yes.
It's something I've been
seeing
a lot.
Apparently, like Godard was even saying, I forgot where I was reading this, where he was saying like, even growing up, like existentialism in like schools was the biggest thing because like that's what was like big in France at the time.
Definitely.
And the whole thing they would always have repeated is existence equals essence or existence is essence.
Yes.
Like instead of this idea of being like essence is before existence, which is what a lot of philosophy was in a way. At least that's how the existentialists saw it. So. So this idea of just like choosing, you know, what is freedom? That's like a big thing in existentialist philosophy.
Okay,
I don't know. I feel like he kind of goes away from that later on in his career. But I don't know. I'll have to pay attention to that.
He kind of is like a different person in general.
Like you can tell, like Breathless has that kind of idea to it, you know.
I can see that for sure.
I'll have to pay attention more to that.
Yeah, but then he sees like the guys like he like watches the guys on the train like tell jokes or whatever. So there's like people who tell jokes in both these movies that are like really long winded and stuff. Because that one in Alphaville too, where like she tells him.
I was actually thinking about that. It's like to me, it's not even. It's like a story as a joke.
Yeah.
Like they feel significant because they're not like short.
Yeah.
And like because we also see it in as a woman is a woman with
okay, yeah, that one.
Belmondo also tells her a story.
Yeah.
And Viva Savie, like I don't know. I think the guy who blows the balloon, he's actually telling a story. That's why he does the balloon. I don't know if I remember right, but I forgot. Damn. But I was like, Godard actually does like that this kind of thing a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know, just a fun way to like almost like halt the narrative in a way.
Right, it's like like, let's take a break.
Like, where's this guy going? You know, like, what is the story?
You're like, wait, is this important?
Because like with a good in a normal movie, if you got a story like this, it would be like directly related to like what key they're gonna go find or something later on. But like Godard, you're like, is this like you don't even know if it's actually gonna relate to the movie or if it's just like something you liked. It'll relate in some way, but it'll never be direct.
Yeah.
Like this one is just what is it like? About like two tribes, one of them's tall and one of them's short.
Something like that.
It's like I don't even remember the point he's trying to make.
It's like, because they are like kind
of. And like they play soccer.
Imagine someone who hadn't seen the movie. Like,
no, yeah.
Even
Her
like,
joke doesn't make that sense much either to me.
Yeah, no, that one doesn't really.
But then like,
let me
like,
cautious. I think it's hilarious, bro. He's
like, not to blame though.
Oh, yeah.
That part's funny just because of the
context. Yes,
yeah,
that's why a lot of these jokes are funny to me. If I don't even understand the joke, it's just like they're just like so random.
Yeah, it's like what the fuck is going on? But basically,
Belmondo's I remember liking in A Woman Is Woman.
No, Belmondo's
I'm forgetting what the joke was at the moment.
Because it's
what the story was.
Well, it literally emulates the because the girl that has the 2 letters, and then she actually swaps them, but then it turns out she didn't.
Yes. Okay. See that one? Yeah, you kind of get the relation in a way. He even says it though.
Yeah. Like it's like obvious, like it's like spelled out to you. Yeah. But basically, he shows up. He like gets the French basically take him to this like meeting. Basically, they're like telling him like, yeah, you have to do this hit basically on this one guy, and he also and then the guy in the car, like I don't even. This one's interesting because it's guys reads him like the end of the book by Jean Cocteau.
Yes.
I have it written down. It's interesting. He says,
Yes.
William flew, leapt, and ran like a hare. Not hearing the shots, he stopped and turned around out of breath. Then he felt a sharp jab in his chest. He fell. He became deaf and blind. A bullet, he thought. I'm lost. I pretend to be dead. But with him, fiction and reality were one. William Thomas was dead.
Damn, that's so far.
Yeah, honestly, like. But it's like it's also like at the end of like a novel, basically.
That's
like.
John Cocteau.
Yeah.
That's
like,
crazy.
But like,
I want to read him so bad.
But like it's interesting because this is literally the end of the. He said it's like the end of the book.
That book, yeah. That last line is so fire though.
Yeah,
when fiction reality became one.
Yeah. That's crazy.
He's like, because he's like, I'm gonna pretend to be dead, and then the narrator.
That's it's just the perfect way to end a fiction book. So.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, honestly. But yeah, I don't know what.
It's crazy he made films too.
No, I need to watch because Demi loved him.
I need to read some of this.
Okay.
Because this is the end of one of his books.
Yeah.
I guess it's Thomas the Inspector or Imposter. Thomas the Imposter.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Because apparently, Richard Brody said his name in the movie is based on another John Cocteau character from a different book.
Okay. Damn. Wait, which one?
I forgot.
Okay. No. Which I should also mention the last name of Natasha in this movie is Dreyer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't know if he's saying it's because he did the same thing with Lubitsch in Woman is Woman.
So then he must.
But that made a lot of sense. That made more sense. I feel like.
In this one, I'm not really sure.
I feel like he'd just be like, "Yeah, that sounds cool." I'm like,
I guess.
But basically, okay. But after that story, he says, "Yeah, I'd like to die like that," and the guy says, "You might get that chance soon."
Damn.
But I think this is okay. Yeah, so
it's like a bunch of like brief moments.
Yeah, it's hard to like we say. But basically, they're telling him had to kill this guy to drive by. I love like he's like making the like finger like because they're really driving next to him and like they're like showing him like yo and then the fucking guy rolls down the window like so the guy can see them doing that. He's like roll it up like what the fuck are you doing?
I like the joke one where it's like every time I tried to kill him, I couldn't, and it's like the car he's like driving up, and that car comes by, and he has to get back behind him, and it like keeps on happening.
No, yeah, it's like really everything in the world's like getting in his way in a way. But basically, he runs away from them. Basically, he like kind of like escapes from there, like from that car, and then like gets on the phone, is like asking like he's already still thinking about Karina because he asked the guy.
Do you remember the line he says too? Even a soldier can't be forced to kill.
Yes.
Which is another dive of this freedom, you know, like.
No, yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Him just like not being wanted to kill in this situation.
Even
though he says like he's killed before, right? Like.
I think so.
I think he said he's killed like one other time or something.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm getting Lady from Shanghai confused because that's the theme in Lady from Shanghai.
Feels like something he'd say.
Because like the whole idea is like it's not like he's against killing. It's just like he doesn't want to do it. Like he's like it's just he wants it to be as free as possible in this.
He wants to be as apolitical as possible. Or...
See, that's why a lot of people might think he's apolitical.
Yeah.
But to Godard, it's more like he wants to be free, like to make the choice instead of being like a political party telling me to do this or something.
Damn,
you know.
Yeah.
Like.
Interesting.
But I could see why both sides would hate him, like in a way, like you get hate, not hate him, but get hate for both sides. You're being like you're on the other side because of this.
Yes. And I think Godard, he like looking back on the film, I think he also like didn't really like it as much. He saw it as like naive.
And see, I can see that.
And like he, I mean, we're gonna see like he like definitely like his politics very much changed throughout the '60s. Like he became a lot more radical.
See, that's why I'm like, I don't know if he kept this idea of freedom as staunchly. You know, like it's even possible.
Well, he did. Well, Vivre sa vie was also very much about like free will.
And this early, like that's on like these early movies you can see it. But I don't know if he kept this idea
definitely
as staunchly.
But basically, he's getting followed. Basically, he's like running down the street. And he gets into a car, like his car. Like there's also some great nighttime shots. But both these movies have some great nighttime photography, which I believe he also shot a lot of these during the day, if I'm not mistaken.
Alphaville, I'm pretty sure has to be shot during the day because it's too dark.
Yeah,
there's too many. No,
there's did you read the like when he's like because apparently like came a joke on set that like bro, they're not gonna like the people were like saying after like shots of like where it'd be like so dark like because like Godard didn't want any lights.
Yes.
They're like there was like an ongoing joke that like they, you wouldn't be able to see this. And, like it's like what might as well. Like,
it ends up being a great thing though.
Yeah, honestly, especially for the cigarette shots.
Yes,
come on. But basically, this is when he goes to see Veronica. This is probably like the most like known. This and the torture scene are probably the most remembered scenes from this film. Because this is when like he asks her a bunch of questions. The most famous one obviously is photography. Well, it's not he. He's just what he says. He says photography is truth and cinema is truth 24 times a second, which is like super interesting because like Godard's the opposite. Like because literally is like, I mean you've seen like distorted cinema or you've seen Image Book too. Like he literally is like all images are lies. Like you can't trust it. Like, but it's like he's like kind of like naive here in a way. Like, but
damn.
Yeah, he's like
cinema is truth, 24 frames a second. It's just truth to that specific person that's making it. So.
Yeah, I mean it depends. Yeah, it just depends how you see it, honestly.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways to view that.
Yeah.
Because it is showing a truth.
A truth.
It's just the truth could not even be what you're actually seeing. It's just the way they constructed how you're seeing it, basically.
Yeah.
Like I know Vertov's basically started that.
Yes.
But...
Okay.
See, this one. Yeah. So what is that then?
It's still
because I think it's almost like this is more like
but it's not the
right
truth you're
because if you film an object, there's some fact there, right? You're filming something.
Yes.
But
doesn't mean
that could be used in an infinite number of ways.
Yeah.
Right. But there's something like almost like that's why history is interesting, but just like Godard's filmography in general is interesting because there's always a tension there.
Yeah.
You know, like that's why cinema always feels true in a way. And like there's like a truth to it. Like even if you're using every image in a movie for lies, like the fact that you're filming something real, there's something still true there.
Yeah.
You know, even like in Nazi propaganda and stuff, or like war footage and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's why truth in a way is weird too.
Because it's like it's true. Is it possible to be like true for like one person, or is like it's just truth have to be like
universal, like
it just depends.
That's why I always remember this Bresson quote where he says like no absolute value in the image.
Yes.
Because like for him, truth is in relations between images.
Yes.
And that's why like he's like against like making images that are beautiful in themselves, right? Because that means you're trying to put value in the image. For him, it's the opposite, right?
Yes,
and I think Godard definitely goes by that kind of logic too.
Definitely.
But,
yeah.
No, it's interesting that kind of idea of like there is obviously some kind of power in an image, you know, where people see it, and like even now, like it's like I don't know if you see that. I have seen that Twitter page where like people post. It's like called like AI slop on Facebook.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
It's just like it's the most you think the most AI shit ever, but people like will comment that it's real.
Yeah.
Like, even the most fake images ever.
It's like how do you even
true,
like
we're talking about to someone
But like there's discrepancy about like how many images certain people see.
Yes.
Or like
we're like way oversaturated.
We're oversaturated. Like
even like we have just like algorithms that aren't even human making images for people at this point. And posting them and getting likes from people that aren't even real and stuff. Just like But
no, that's like the great paradox.
It's why it's a naive thing to like say as absolute fact, but he's also not wrong because if you show people images from around the world happening, they believe that as fact because we're not there. There's no way we can know. We have to believe it, basically, because it's the only thing we can see.
Yes.
But so
to me, it's even like to go off that. It's like even the fact like the way images can confirm our beliefs just so easily.
Yeah.
They also they have that kind of power over us too. That's why I love like directors that have like try to keep their images as open as possible, because like it is so easy to like confirm people's beliefs. Like once again, Nazi propaganda and stuff like that is an extreme example of that. But even just like cliches in cinema is another example of that.
You want the filmmaker to think, like have people think for themselves, like
that's why cliches exist in cinema in a way.
Yes.
You know, like even if you don't realize it, if you see two happy leads at the beginning and they're both attractive, you know they're probably gonna end up together.
Yeah.
You know, like you can kind of like be safe in that feeling. You know, and that's what images like. Different types of images have those kind of powers over us, like where we don't even realize it happening.
Yes.
You know, they like create expectations and stuff like that.
Definitely.
But I don't know, like this movie, I guess it is. I guess from that perspective, you could say it's naive. But maybe you could even say from perspective like it's this character is the one saying it.
Yeah.
So he's the naive one.
But also,
and you can even say like the end of the movie even shows him as naive.
Yeah.
Like the way it ends and stuff.
Definitely.
Like he ends up still like basically betraying his beliefs for the girl, and then like he gets fucked for it.
Damn. Yeah.
No hard feelings though.
Yeah, no feelings. Damn. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's like
the scene is great though. Just like
just
watching
Korean,
pictures and ask
like,
her questions.
Even if like you could say like Anna Korea maybe not as like she's like kind of more amateur as an actress, like she still has like a charm to her for sure. Like,
I just love it whenever the voiceover says, "I love the way that she smokes a cigarette." Because I was like, "Yeah."
That's later on. That's
later on. I thought it was in the scene too.
There's a similar
scene later on. Yeah. But this is what I'm saying. Like this is before they were dating or anything.
Yeah.
So Godard asking her these questions are like, it's almost like he's actually asking her. That's where like Brody says you can even see at one point where she actually breaks. And kind of like you could say like it's actually she even says something like, "Is this?" You can tell if she's wondering if it's actually the actor or Godard actually questions, because some of the questions he asks are, "Afraid of me seeing your body? What were you going to say? What are you thinking?" And then he asks her, "Have a lot of guys been chasing you in Geneva?"
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then he says, "What do you think of me?" I think that's the one where she doesn't know whether to answer like to the actor or to actually to Godard.
Damn.
You know.
Well, Godard
but he just loves all that stuff.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Like he wants to see the truth.
Yes.
24 times a second.
Yeah.
But also like I love the moment where it goes to voiceover. He says, "I had a sudden feeling that I was photographing death." I don't know, like it's interesting. Like all of a sudden too. But then this is when we get like the classical music scene, because like she's like, "Should I play Bach?" And he's like, "Bach's for 8 a.m. Like Beethoven's for like 8 at night." And then finally it's like Joseph Kahn is the one they start playing. And then like basically this is when like it gets like, or wait,
Joseph Haydn.
for some reason I have Joseph Kahn written down. Joseph something.
Okay.
But basically this is when he like actually like is like photographing her, like she's like dancing around. It's like that's a really good scene. And then he also like gives her a test to like he like draws 3 shapes and like tells her to finish the drawing, and like she like starting to draw.
It's
people.
An amazing like just pick up move like.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Link's like taking notes. Like.
Well, if I knew French, like oh my god, that's like
it's kind of
like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he writes out. He like
I love you
like
Jesus Christ. What a pickup move.
I mean, okay, but honestly, Let Me Caution's pick up on Anna Karina and Alphaville might be better. Might be better. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. It's another similarity between these two movies. Guys fall in love with Karina.
That's a theme in
every one of them. But basically, I think the next kind of like important scene is when he. They stage because we can see where the French basically stage a hit and run in his car. I think it's the French who do it. They kind of become blurred, so it's kind of hard to like. You honestly don't know who's who in a lot of scenes. At least not initially. 'Cause basically, I think it's the people he's working for though, because he won't do the hit, and so they like stage the hit and run in his car, and basically he's basically the police come, or I don't know if it's the police. I think it's the police.
Yeah, it is.
And say he's wanted in France, and he's like basically being convicted, and then like you get this kind of like this like little montage of him like actually going to try and do the hit, and I mean we get the amazing. Shot of the Hitler poster and the gun going behind it.
This is what I was talking about.
Well, do you remember this is like
coming in and out?
There's this is like the most pickpocket scene in the movie. I think you kind of just skipped where he's like he's about to get arrested, And then they're asking the guys, "Do you want to press charges?" The guy that got, I think the guy whose car got wrecked.
Okay, yes.
And then we hear on voiceover, a great feeling of loneliness flooded over me.
Damn.
I was like, damn, that's like the most persona moment. Because it's like this moment, like he doesn't know if he's actually going to get press charges against him. And then that guy looks over to the car, and they're like, no, don't press charges. And he's like, no, I'm not going to press charges. No. And then he's like, and then the voiceover says, but maybe remorse is the beginning of freedom. And that's when he decides to go do the hit.
Okay. Damn.
Because, like, basically this, like, a moment of, like, mercy is like, okay, now he has to do it in a way, you know? It's like, so what is freedom?
It's like, compelling to him.
Yeah. Like, even, but in a way, like,
he thinks he's, like, basically gotten out, but it's like he's, like, even more trapped.
But it's like this guy, their plans, like, work even more now, you know? Or it's like, it's
kind of smart, though, to, like, pressure the guy.
Yeah.
I'm not, like, condoning it or anything.
No.
But, like, so...
But like that's why this idea of freedom is very tricky in itself, you know.
Yeah, and just like the politics of like the spy worldness are really interesting too. But yeah, basically, I think you mentioned earlier. It's like really funny, like these like moments because you're like the
Hitler one is definitely
Hitler's funny. Like when he's like following the car, everything's getting his way.
It's and like, I love the voiceover whenever it happens because he's like. I think he literally asks, he's like, you know those guys that have the like divine providence or something? I think he says some like quote, something like some specific term.
Or, well, he shouts, was it when he mentions Raul Godard?
Maybe.
Which is hilarious, by the way. Fucking shouts out his own, it's what my friend Raul, because it shows him driving. Yes. It's like a shot from behind. And it says, it's what my friend Raul Godard, the most brilliant of French cameramen, called the law of the greatest fuck-up. Every time I was ready to fire, some unexpected event stopped me.
Yes.
Like, because I put in my notes, like, this has to be the only time in cinema history where a cinematographer's been quoted in their own movie.
Like, that's a power move, honestly.
Like, it can't be another time. Like, there can't be.
No, I don't. Yeah.
I can't think of it.
I mean, no.
Some, like,
maybe like Day for Night or something?
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, it had to be some, like, movie about movies or something.
And I love it just like Godard is like, it's just straight up him saying it too. It's like, well, my friend Raul Godard.
Yeah, the most
brilliant. Like, why would this guy know Raul
Godard? What relation does he have to him? Like,
it's just such a funny scene though, because you're literally watching this guy, and it's like, how is this motherfucker not noticing? No, this guy's trying to kill him. Like, it's zero observation.
Well, we saw him earlier. Like, literally just acting up.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that, okay, but see, to be fair, that's like a very normal genre convention too.
No, yes.
It's like,
it's just so funny. Like I notice immediately if someone's trying to pass me, on a 2-lane road, and this guy's just sitting there right next to him. Get back over every time.
It's so funny too when he like gets on the boat to like follow him, and then like they get off the boat, and he's like literally right behind him.
Yes,
holding like literally to like almost like he's touching his back basically, and then like just like walks away because he can't do it. And then.
Because the voiceover says, and sometimes it's like you're my own personal. Like I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
He says, if you're not a professional, it's hard to keep trying. It's like trying again after a failed suicide attempt.
Yeah. Oh my god. And then
but that's interesting. Like he's making that relation of like trying to kill someone else is like trying to kill yourself if you're not professional. Like it's hard to try it again.
Yeah, it's interesting. But also when he pushes the guy in the water, because like those guys look like trying to see if he did the hit. And then when they say he didn't do it, they get him, and then basically he like pushes him into the water and like runs basically. It's like really like
it's like that's how he wants to get away.
Yeah. But basically this is when he calls Veronica to tell he's leaving tomorrow. But I think she's with like the Algerians. Yes. So she's like she's like telling him like I don't love you, like I won't be joining. But I think it's because like.
Well, do you remember what he says to
her? What do he say?
Nicholas Ray.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Because he says that lie to me.
You lie, damn. Damn. How did I not fucking? Okay.
I only realized when I was going through my notes. So
okay.
He actually says lie to me.
Okay, that has to be deliberate.
And I'd watch histories after that.
Okay, damn, that's deliberate. That's deliberate. Oh my god.
Because she's lying to him, but it's for the truth.
Yes,
right?
yeah. Which means very.
And that kind of goes to the whole idea of what we were talking about. Like, there's like a truth even in a lie in cinema in a way.
Oh yeah.
You know. Yeah. Like, you could be watching the most, like, even these cliches in cinema, we still love them in a way if they're good. You know, if I like the woman on screen or something, if I like the love story or the actors or whatever.
Yeah.
Even if I know it's, like, fake.
Exactly. Yeah.
But damn.
Blake
I don't know
hasn't
if you think this Lie to Me is actually a reference to that?
I feel like
when did Johnny Godard come out?
54.
54.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Godard loves a critic, so I mean,
he's got a Wells reference, a Bresson. He might as well have Nicholas Ray in there.
I mean, he does.
He references his own cinematographer.
Yeah, come on. It's a Johnny Guitar reference. Let's
It is.
It is.
I want to go back now and see like the way he says "Lie to Me."
Yeah, I need to look back to it now.
It's probably like, just like super cool.
Because like the way she's saying too is like, "I don't love you. I won't go to Brazil." But, the way we know the truth is like kind of
She's like wearing sunglasses too to like hide her like.
Because they're listening to her.
Yeah. Damn, but Blake hasn't seen Johnny Guitar, so he's missing out.
Damn, I thought you had. Shit.
No,
okay,
not yet.
You gotta do it.
I picked that one of the weeks and we just didn't get it. I think that's what it was.
Maybe.
But basically, he calls these guys, and these guys like, well, he's like on the run right now. This is where it kind of gets a bit confusing for me, because like he like calls the guys, and then like, I forgot exactly what, because there's a line in there. It's like, tragedy today is politics. No, Napoleon said that, not me. it's like one of those Napoleon jokes where I'm like, oh my god, I don't know what they're saying. Like it's like with Boomwell. But basically, this guy tells him where his car is, but then when he's like going to it, he just gets jumped by the Algerians all of a sudden.
It's kind of messy.
It is. It's like
basically my notes. I'm like, I kind of don't know what happened.
Yeah,
and then he gets taken by the Algerians.
Yeah, pretty much. But this is when like the torture scene happens, which is
It's very long too. It's
pretty long.
It's a short movie.
Definitely.
That's why I'm like, I could like, because Richard Brody points out how like torture was a very basically a censored topic in France, because like a lot of people knew the French were using torture tactics on the Algerians.
Yeah.
But like it was something the French government didn't want to ever admit, so they didn't want to see it in movies. But like Godard was like trying to get around it.
Yeah.
Like
by showing the Algerians.
Yes. It was like his reasoning was probably true, but it was also like this is the only way he could get torture on screen.
Yeah.
And then the way he also says he balances out is we also know in the movie's narrative that the other side also does torture too.
Yeah.
They say something like that at the end too, like they tortured him as well.
They say they torture Karina.
Or Karina, yes, it's just off screen.
Yes,
So, because I still respect like even in this movie, because Godard had a quote something like, he wanted to go out to prove to directors that were under 40, because he says like basically directors that were under 40 had this idea that they were being censored without even trying.
Yeah.
So he wanted to say Brody says like movie was proof that you could get around censorship. You're not censored in a way. You are free. Like he's trying he's always trying to combine film in his own life.
Even though it was still censored for a couple of years.
And even though but it still came out. Yeah,
year after the war.
He was trying. You can still see like, if he had made the torturing side the French side, it probably wouldn't even got made. What I mean? So like, Paths of Glory is similar. Like, that movie's about America, but he had to make it the French army because it wouldn't have got made. If
was it actually the French army in that movie?
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't even remember that.
Yeah, it's Kirk Douglas.
Yeah,
it's always funny whenever you remember it's a French movie, because you just don't assume, you just don't think of it.
You think of it as an American movie, yeah. But the French did do that too.
Oh,
that's why.
Everyone in World War I did that.
It's a concept.
I think that's also something that Godard's trying to say with this. Is like both sides, no matter who's right or wrong, they're both doing this. It's just part of
these
it's
tactics
just
part of
it,
war.
So.
Yeah. Have you guys seen the Battle of Algiers?
I have. It's been a long ass time though.
It's like it's honestly like it's like directly about like it's really about this.
That one's probably been as long since I probably watched that one before Alphaville. Because I also did not love that, but I did like it.
I love Battle of Algiers. It's insane.
I liked it, but didn't love it at the time.
But yeah, this torture scene is just brutal. I mean, I think the most brutal though is the
waterboarding.
I was saying the match to the handgun.
That's a great shot.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like
that's where like it's pickpocket too in a way. Just the hand, like the way the hand is flamed. It's just like so simple.
You can't even like get away from it too.
The match one's not that bad to me because it's kind of something the guy was talking about. He was like, once you like it is pain, but it's just like physical pain. Like he was even quoting some like Buddhist texts and like whatever in the voiceover shit whenever they were talking about this.
Yeah.
Because this is how some people just train their bodies to like withstand pain. It's just like trying to withstand fire like this and making your mind think of something else.
Yeah, there's that. That's just like he has that monologue where he's trying to make him think of other stuff.
Yeah. But the waterboarding was the worst.
Yeah, waterboarding was
like that one actually, like whenever they were doing that one, it looked like whenever they cut it, the actor was actually freaking.
It was.
No, it was.
Like,
it
was.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah, Ricky Brody's like, Godard put his main actors in the ringer.
No, because someone said that like apparently the actor like he still had like burn marks on his wrist.
Yeah, damn.
Like if after he shot the gun. Like damn good dog. Like chill out, bro.
We don't have money for a stunt act.
We need the truth 24 times a second.
This story also tells them I'm not opposed to telling you that, but I don't feel like it.
Yes, yeah.
You know?
He's also said he's thinking of Veronica like throughout it, like trying to get through it. Like
damn, yeah.
Yeah, they also like dunk his head in the water for like it's like
just the worst.
Definitely. And then electric shocks too.
Yeah, damn, yeah.
Yeah, also. Which they actually like I don't think it was like as I think they said just like it was a current that they like actually were like affecting him with or whatever, like sending to him. But basically, not okay. This is honestly one of the funny
the escape scene.
Yeah, he's like he thinks because he initially says like he's like thinking about jumping out the window. But you don't think he's gonna do it. You just think he's like, oh, I just.
This is where I'm like.
Well, I was watching. I was like, I don't see where the window is. Honestly,
yeah, that's
like I was like, where the hell is he jumping from?
Yeah, I was like, but the cut. So he just runs out.
What do you remember the story he's telling?
It's a good story.
This is where I'm like, first of all, it's like
this
is where like these are like you would see in normal genre movies. Like, okay, now the prisoner escapes and stuff. Yeah. But instead of like making it more believable, he makes it less believable. Yeah. So it's like he's telling the story of a guy named Pierre Brossolette and how I think he died, and I think he says how the guy died in 1943. And he's like the shot is so great where he's like tracing his hands against the wall. So like if you were just like a normal guy, you'd be like, why are you letting him do this in the first place? Because he's like telling the story about how he jumped out the window. He's like he just surged, he surged, and then he jumps, and then he actually jumps.
Forgot that's how he did it. Yeah.
But then he's like the thing is he didn't know what floor he was.
No, because you see him go out the window, but you stay with it for a second.
And do you remember the cut?
No, yeah.
Like you're kind of scared because you're like you don't know what floor he's on.
You're like, oh,
he doesn't know either.
Yeah.
But then the camera pans from a top floor of Anna Karina's building all the way down.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So you kind of get the feeling of he's jumping from the top floor.
No,
but then the voiceover is like, oh, it was only the second floor. I was fine. I went to Anna Karina's house.
Damn, that's crazy.
But the way the camera like goes down, it's like you think he jumps from a high, just for like a split second.
Oh, that could be. That's honestly a pickpocket moment too. I feel because I feel like that happens like when he like you think something's bad's about, but then like the voiceover comes in, it's like, oh, I was fine or whatever. Or maybe like.
Or it's like the Buñuel, like whenever
this one's just too funny to be like pickpocket. It's like openly funny where he's just like telling the story.
It's like the L one whenever she gets shot, she's like, but I'm surprised to see.
Yeah,
like
the
surprise of my life.
Yeah, it's like that kind of twist, basically. Yeah. And then basically he's like Anna Karina's house again.
Yeah.
Or
this guy.
Does he actually go there, or we see her again?
Yeah, they go back. No, because they asked, because right before he goes to his apartment, they asked, she's like walking outside and they ask her if she's seen him and she says no.
The two guys are chasing him.
Yeah. And then she walks up into the apartment where he is. But basically, this scene, he's basically...
This is the scene where she says, where the voiceover's like, I love the way she lights a cigarette.
Okay, yeah.
Because we don't actually see her light the cigarette initially. It waits until she lights his cigarette too, like after he says it. It's like there's like a pause too, so like we're waiting to see when she lights the cigarette.
Yeah,
it's pretty great.
Basically, they have a long conversation. Basically, I would say like it's kind of about their like differing ideals in a way, but also like it's kind of a reflection of himself, like
it's kind of
how he views himself in a way.
And Richard Brody makes this point. The guy in the movie, he's more conservative.
Yeah.
Compared to Karina, who's more on the Algerian side.
Yes, yeah.
At least that's the kind of tension in the movie he's trying to portray.
Yeah. But yeah, it's...
Yeah, because they're kind of having their almost like arguments about whether they should be proud to be French or not.
Yeah, because he's like, I love France, but I'm not like a nationalist.
Yeah, he's like... But he says like one defends France, one defends ideas, not territories.
Yeah.
He says I don't love Barcelona because of Spain. I love Spain because a city like Barcelona exists.
Yeah.
That kind of idea, you know.
Yeah. Which I mean, kind of like I feel like this also plays in the fact that like he doesn't really have like strong ideals because it's like he's like having to like it's like just like kind of like playing the center in a way here with it, but. Yeah, there's a lot like But he says like we do these things without conviction though. That's also important. Like after he says like all like the places and stuff. But is there anything from here that you like or like?
Godard did say like he has some quote where like I let myself go in some of these scenes, and this is
okay,
definitely yeah. Or he just like going. It's like this guy's definitely going on some a little sexist rants too.
Yeah.
Where he's like
no, because I have the quote here actually.
Was this the death favors men and life favors women?
Yes.
Yeah.
But he's like, then that's what's important.
Because he said it is perhaps too personal, embarrassed me a little because I was a little the character was not very sympathetic, so it should have been worked on more. He wasn't very sympathetic. That was 40 years after the film.
Oh, okay, damn, 40 years after.
Well, because he literally says, I think women should die at 25. That's whenever you peak and it's all downhill from there.
And he says like some stuff like, okay, that can't be true. And he's like, women, they always jump out the window because they're too afraid to be scared, but they never slit their wrists like men or something.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's not true. Like, that can't be true.
It's not true at all.
It's interesting.
But he also has a great quote about Van Gogh on the voiceover where he says, Van Gogh said, we'll ride upon death to reach another star.
Okay,
like, damn, that's great.
Damn, you need to watch Mars P.L.'s Van Gogh.
I do. I just need to learn more about Van Gogh first.
Okay. I do think it's interesting. I think he is trying to make it at a certain point, obviously, about the patriarchy in this with this comment, obviously. Okay. Just with like death favoring men and life favoring women. It's just like that's also a society. Like society does favor men as they age. Like it's not people specifically that do that. It's just society is telling us as a whole. Also, like, most of the time as men age, it's like they have money. Like it's just like. Things like get more like there are more attractive things in men and the men that society say are attractive. So that's
it's also interesting because it's something similar in Alphaville when they're in the execution pool and then they say like for every like one woman executed 50 men are executed in a way. It's also like that dichotomy. Like
interesting.
It's interesting. But but they basically the French find out Veronica is working for because they like taped. Or no, that was because like both sides kind of figure out in these moments. Like it's like, but I think especially like the French find out like who this girl is that he's talking to, and then basically they barge into her place and basically like as you said like it's like mentioned in the voiceover they took her to torture to get like the Arab's address. Some guy they're like trying to find, and basically they tell him it's like kind of cruel, but like they tell him like we'll get your like the passports you need. If you actually end up like killing the guy that you were supposed to kill earlier, and then I mean like really brutal scene. Obviously, like he's like walking behind. It's like him and a girl now too, probably like his wife or something. And then like just walks behind him and just like shoots him in the middle of the street, broad daylight. Like, and then like immediately after it's like they killed Veronica.
In voiceover.
And then I had no choice but to learn not to be bitter. I was just glad I still had so much time ahead of me. And that's the end of it.
Because I want to point out what Richard Brody says about this last scene.
Yeah.
Because it kind of goes to this idea about what does it mean to say cinema is true 24 times per second.
Yeah.
And why do people like that quote is still remembered as like Godard's most famous quote in a way. Honestly, even Godard disowned it in a way. Like there's still something that feels true about it. You know, like when we watch a film that we really agree with, especially. You know. But because you mentioned how the shooting happens in broad daylight.
Yeah.
So do you remember what he says about how they filmed this scene? Where they actually filmed this like a documentary. Like the actor was the only one that knew. The actor's the only one that knew. And they were filming it in public to see what happened, and they thought people would like freak out way more. Damn. But nothing really happened, and the guy ran away. And only someone like apparently questioned them after off camera, like what was going on and stuff. And then they had to like say it was a movie. So. But let me read what he says because he says, "Quote: Godard's conception of the scene went beyond the desire for just dramatic verisimilitude or realism. It exemplified one of his key philosophical ideas about the cinema. Quote, and this is Godard, quote, on the screen it appears almost unbelievable, and yet the fact that this could have been filmed so that passerby suspected nothing proves that the possibility and veracity of such an action. Godard's idea went beyond using documentary methods to convey a sense of reality. Rather, the fact that a given event could be filmed on location was for Godard proof that such an event could have happened in life as it appeared on film. This idea, a big one, which Godard would cite for years to come, was yet another response on his part to the writings of Bazin, but a response that came from his practical experience with filmmaking. While for Bazin, reality was the touchstone of cinema, for Godard, the cinema was the touchstone of reality.
Okay, yeah.
And just like that idea of like, this last scene was supposed to be proof, like, even if this scene wasn't real, it was proof that this scene could have been real. You know, we actually filmed in a real spot. You know, and that's like that Bertovian idea, like Blake was saying.
I wonder if the actual gunshot was real,
or if it was like a blank or something.
It was. I think it was a blank.
Yeah, actually blank. Okay, damn.
That's why I think they were expecting more.
Yeah. So if it was silent, I would get
chaos.
it. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense though.
I mean, I guess.
But they're saying like, I think they just thought people were filming. I don't know. I don't know exactly why people.
Well, I mean, if someone just gets like pulls out a gun, and shoots someone in broad daylight, I don't know what I'd do.
I'd run, bro.
I don't even know if I'd run. Like a lot of people just fucking like stand there and go like, "What the hell just happened?" Like,
I don't know. I'd run for sure. I'm getting the fuck out of there.
It's actually a good question. I don't know how much sound other people heard.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Honestly.
Because like we said, most of this was filmed like post digest, like not filmed live sound, not direct sound. So that's a good question.
Yeah. But yeah, that's Le Petit Soldat. And after the break, we'll go ahead and get into 1965 film Alphaville. Talk about the 1965 film Alphaville, starring, is it Eddie Constantine is the name of the main actor, and then also Anna Karina as well. They're kind of like the two main actors in this movie. So before we get into it, I kind of already asked y'all like your general, like what do you feel about it, but like if y'all have anything to say more in depth like about the movie, I don't know if you have any like deeper thoughts on it.
Deeper thoughts.
Like,
I did like Alphaville more this time. I do think it's, I do think, like I said earlier, it does get a little boring, because I don't think some of the lecture heavy parts do feel more like a lecture than like you're watching a movie.
Danny's face right there was so funny. Oh my god.
But for the most part, I do enjoy it more, or I definitely did enjoy it more. I don't know why I didn't connect this to like basically just a Sodom and Gomorrah story the first time I watched it, but that's kind of how I like to view it now.
A what story?
It's like Sodom and Gomorrah, except it's like
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's the Bible story of like God destroying these two cities for being immoral, basically. Okay. But this one, it's more like Eddie Constantine, or what's his name in this? Curtin?
Let me caution.
That's why Curtin.
Well, he also has the name. Was it like Ivan Johnson?
Ivan Johnson.
Yeah, that's his like fake name.
No, yeah, let me caution. But he's basically like this angel that's come to judge this city. At the very end, the reason why.
He's not more. To me, he's not the judge. He's more like
he's the angel.
Moses, or not Moses.
Lot.
Who's the one that takes Lot out?
That's the angel.
Oh, okay. Yes,
yeah, that's why I said he's the angel that comes. It's not to like pass judgment, but to see if they deserve judgment, basically.
Because he even says something to Anna Karina like, "Don't look back" or something like that.
Yeah, no, it's at the very end. That's where it like came full circle, because like I was like, this is literally just like straight out of the Bible, basically.
Well, I mean, this story. That's why Sodom and Gomorrah is a good example, and like it's one of the originals of this story.
Yeah.
But and he might have been, and I think the look back actually might be a direct reference. But have you seen The Searchers?
Yeah.
Because apparently this movie was like the plot he got from The Searchers too, which has a similar theme of a guy saving a woman from this like evil world in a way.
Just like from this enemy territory.
Enemy territory, and it's like
No, that makes sense too.
Yeah. But this trope, like in a way, like you said, like the last movie also uses tropes of cinema too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Sodom and Gomorrah, it's a really good one. Especially like this world, like this is Godard's Gomorrah.
Yes. Yes. I completely agree with him.
This technological world.
No, but I think the first time whenever I watched this, I obviously had just gotten into movies and was more
You didn't know who
looking
Godard
for
was.
entertaining.
You didn't know what Godard was.
And didn't know what Godard was. And whenever you look at sci-fi lists, because I was like massively into sci-fi, but like not this type of sci-fi at the time, obviously. Like if I would have watched Solaris in 2018, I don't know if I would have loved it either. Like, but whenever I watched this the first time, I obviously hated it.
Damn, well, yeah, 1 star 2 is crazy.
I still don't think it's Godard's best. I don't know if I'll ever get there because I think he just does more interesting things with like genre work also in some of his movies. But like honestly, like in the 60s, we're gonna talk about it next week. Pierre LeFou might rise on me, but like Man USA is fucking just. It's one of his best movies. It might be better than Beavis and Butthead, honestly. But I'll have to save that for later. I'll have to save that for whenever I rewatch it. So.
I respect it. I really like Man USA. I wouldn't go that far, probably.
But like he does a lot of interesting things with genre in the 60s, and I don't know if Alphaville will ever get past some of these other ones for me.
Kind of disagree on that. Otherwise, it's like sci-fi noir. It's like the fact that it's like a sci-fi noir is like that's enough for me, really. Like to combine those two elements. But do you have?
Well, I have a few things because to me the reason why this is great is partly why Blake might not like it is maybe the philosophical aspects of it. Because this movie is maybe his most like just purely philosophical movie.
No, yeah.
Because it is just, which is why I love science fiction to a large degree too. Because science fiction, when done right, can give you just this through world building can give you like almost a different version of philosophy than just like reading words can. You know, it can make you think about things through images. And like I'm sure we'll talk about the other movie, but one example of that is, it was before the podcast, but you mentioned how Clockwork Orange might have been inspired by this. And you said not in the way that it's science fiction, but it's not futuristic in terms of like necessarily trying to predict the future. It's more like science fiction in terms of a distorted world of like our own reality.
It's not like how I think Spielberg called 2001 like science eventuality or something like that.
It's
not that basically.
This is more like science, like it's like a twisted version, more distorted. Dystopia. Yes, which is still science fiction.
Oh no,
you know,
it is. We had this discussion. At some point recently.
We did.
Okay. I think we did.
But Clockwork Orange is a good example of that because. It was really important to Godard in which I love about the movie is they filmed in Paris, literally just modern day Paris. You know, nothing, no sets, no trying to make it look futuristic or anything. It just, but what he did and what the philosophical point he was trying to make in a way is like, just using the camera, he showed a new world. You know, like he showed almost the science fiction world he saw,
and you believe it
just
the entire
using the
time.
camera.
Like, there's not really like a moment where I'm like. It's like I always feel like we're in like this world.
But
too.
basically using cinema or cinematic devices, right? Genre, high ISO film, like basically modern techniques that he could use at the time, like high contrast. You know, basically filmic technique showing the same world that we see every day, but like in a new way.
Yes,
you know, and it's not in a good way, basically. But it is in a way because it looks amazing. It's a gorgeous film. So. But it's just the fact that they filmed in Paris, but they would like the place still looks so empty. Like all the places they film in are empty at the same time. So you're like, you get this emptiness vibe. But like Richard Brody says, like if you've been to Paris, you'll recognize a lot of these spots. Especially if you were especially if you lived in Paris watching at the time. So like, it would be a whole new level. Like if we watched a movie in the place we lived every day, and all of a sudden it just looked totally different.
It's like
science fiction.
Now it's like science fiction.
It would make you think about it differently.
Yeah.
You know?
I think my favorite like aspect of that though is when they like it's like when they're doing at the end like when they're like doing interstellar like travel like with a car basically like down the road like I love that like
because earlier Alpha 60 asked him questions like what do you think about coming through galactic space what were your thoughts going through your head and stuff and he like drives like a Galaxy Ford Galaxy
which apparently was a Mustang actually but Godard did drive a Galaxy according to Brody.
But I read this paper called Art and Logic, Godard's Alphaville as Philosophy by Andrew Jones. Yeah. And because this is, like I said, this is the most philosophical movie. So what's philosophical about it? And to me, like we've already kind of mentioned it, but like the big dichotomy of the movie, and he mentioned this paper is this idea of scientific knowledge versus poetry or artistic knowledge.
So continental versus
analytical.
Human emotion.
That's
I would say yes.
Human
That's a divide I've. That's a philosophical divide, you could say.
Yeah.
To me, I like this idea of scientific knowledge versus
human
like poetry.
Yeah, poetry.
Human emotion, poetry, art, logic. You know, which is not necessarily scientific logic. Right
brain versus left brain.
Yes. Even though a lot of, I hesitate to use the word brain because then people will still say that was science in a way, you know. But yeah, it's that kind of idea. Yeah. But what this movie is like making the point is like Godard is already saying we already live in this world where scientific knowledge is the only knowledge that's really valued in this world. You know, like and Godard's whole filmography, which is why I watched his series after this, is like even in that movie, he's still arguing for poetry as a equal version of knowledge to scientific knowledge. Oh, yeah, you know, this idea of, and that's why he loves cinema as this kind of truth that's different than just facts. You know, than just like a scientific, like you know. Yeah, measuring tables and stuff, you know, which is also valid knowledge. But I wanted to mention, I just want to read one quote from this paper I read. So he says, quote, "The thought experiment of Alphaville explores the consequences of government and its willing citizens, taking its reliance on logic to the extreme, and in turn exposes the dangers of even limited scientism present among government and its citizens in 1965. So basically this idea of scientism, which is this idea of saying like the only type of true knowledge or valid knowledge is scientific knowledge. You know, everything else is kind of like everything else is just like not really valuable. You know, humanities is not really valuable. Only the STEM is what's like actually valuable in the world. This was made in 1965, and like it's only more true now. The fact like people actually like think AI is a valid form of art, like can actually make art. You know, like we literally live in this world. Like literally, when people are like, "Oh, yeah, let me just go put in a prompt and it'll make better art than like a human."
It's like always like
tap playing guitar, Dan.
It's like tech bros like always say.
Exactly, it's crazy. Like, and this was made in 1965 about that time, and people were like, "Oh, Godard was predicting the future," and he kind of was, but like it was still like. He just saw the way people value science, like science even then. Yeah. And in this paper, he mentions how one of the influences on the movie is Nietzsche, because Nietzsche was very big on this idea of artistic knowledge is equally a form of knowledge that as scientific knowledge. Yes. And I haven't even read the book, but Nietzsche wrote a book called The Birth of Tragedy, or The Death of Tragedy. Yeah, The Birth of Tragedy. I've heard of it. Yeah. It's kind of even he saw in Greek tragedy how over time. Even in tragedy, it's like the tragic form itself, scientific knowledge started to be valued. And the way Nietzsche says is like Plato introduced like the Socratic dialogue, which was more valuing scientific knowledge rather than irrational artistic knowledge, you know. Knowledge that can deal with suffering, he says, which is, like, to me, I still agree with, like, film deals with suffering in a way like science can't, you know, or art in general does, you know. But, like, that's what Nietzsche really valued about art, like, the arts, in a way. Yeah. And tragedy, obviously. Yes. And so you can see, in like those ideas, you can see in Alphaville. Like Lemmy Caution is this guy bringing poetry or artistic knowledge, and he's the one saving. You know, he's the angel in a way. I guess you can say in that sense. Like, he's like he literally gives her a book that teaches her about consciousness. You know, stuff like that, or conscience. Yeah.
Reminds her.
Yeah.
Yes. But let me just read one because he says poetry is the counter, and to me, like that's like a lot of. Like, we're going to see in Pierrot next week, too. That's, like, a huge theme in the movie, in a way. You know, this idea of just... Almost irrational, like, just the way they leave together at the beginning of the movie. Like, just, like, very irrational, you
like,
know.
Contradicting.
For
sure, contradictions.
There's, like... Life is, like, very contradicting itself, you know, so... But, see, he says, quote, "The use of poetry establishes that art, specifically as a means of expressing love, as well as the associated pain of its absence, is necessary to restore and maintain those emotions intrinsic to humanity." Basically, like... Without this kind of poetry, you get these kind of zombies that we see in this world, you know? Yeah. And that's where it's like pure science fiction, right? Like they are zombies. Like they are, like it's not a real world.
Like and like they literally become like ants, literally.
Yes.
Like, honestly, very similar to like The Hole. When like they turn to cockroaches, basically.
Yeah.
It's like that. Like it's like a very similar kind of effect.
Is that a science fiction movie?
It is.
Kind of is. Yeah.
It is.
Science fiction musical.
Yes.
Science fiction, neorealist music. Actually, not neorealist. Well, kind of actually.
It's science fiction.
Is sci neorealist?
No.
Interesting. Anyway,
he's a plus. Oh, yeah, I have to remember. I was going to mention it in the movie, but I'll mention it now because it mentions poetry. But there is a Henry Bergson quote in this movie too.
Oh, really? Is there? Damn.
It's when he's in when he asks him, "What were your feelings?" So Alpha 60 asks him, "What were your feelings when you passed through galactic space?" And he says, "The silence of infinite space appalled me." And then he asks him, "Do you know what illuminates the night?" And he says, "Poetry." And then he says, "What is your religion?" And he says, "I believe in the immediate data of consciousness." And apparently, Immediate Data of Consciousness was the book in France of Henry Bergson's. In English, the translation is Time and Free Will.
Okay,
But it's the same book.
Damn.
Immediate Data of Consciousness. Like, that's what I believe in. It's his religion.
Godard's a big Bergson fan.
Yes. Yeah.
Didn't he hate to lose, though?
He doesn't hate to lose.
Or just didn't like the cinema book?
He says that at one point, but I think he likes them. Because on that thing I read, like when he did that interview with Histories, he even mentions, like, there's one point where they talk about Deleuze, and he's like, it's unfortunate a lot of the philosophers from France at the time didn't make films. Instead, they just decided to write philosophy. He mentions Deleuze specifically. He's like, and Deleuze, of course, he decided, instead of making films, he decided to make a book about it.
Oh my god. That's funny as fuck. But yeah, brief thoughts for me on Alphaville. Yeah, this is like top tier Godard for me. As I said, like, I just love like the sci-fi and what you kind of like taught a lot of what I love, like especially like him finding like ways to shoot modern day Paris, in this like in like a very believable way and like a really low budget just by using the camera, and like you repurposing sets to like look that honestly like if I go there today or whatever that at the time like you wouldn't think it was science fiction, but then seeing on screen you're like, oh, I didn't even know it could be like that. But yeah, I also just find like it's also like weirdly like kind of sentimental, which is a little bit like strange for Godard. I feel like the ending is like genuinely like a moving ending. Like he's like actually trying to do it in a way, which I feel like he doesn't do very often. It's like he always have to do something that's like like some type of like I don't want to say it's like more like cynical, but which I don't think this movie is like completely betraying that, not at all, but yeah, this movie, it's and then
honestly, it's one of his more hopeful movies.
Yes, that's what I was saying. Like
the way it ends and stuff.
But yeah, there's also like and just the images in this movie are just like so crazy to me. Like it's unbelievable.
Yes.
But yeah, we'll get into it.
You said about the images. I want to read this quote before we get into it.
Okay.
Godard said, "The sensitive film gives the image a lunar aspect. It was very important to me. I wanted an expressionistic style. In filming things that we see every day, I wanted them to arouse fear. Without cheating, the things are there. One looks at them, and suddenly one discovers that they're not at all as one thought." Because like I think the script coordinator on this film and who worked on a lot of his films, I forgot her name, said like 30% of the footage they used was like unusable.
Okay, yeah.
Because he was filming such low light.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the film like would be so low like they couldn't even use it.
There's also there's like moments in the movie where like it goes like to like it like shows only the negative, which I don't know if it's like a film preservation issue.
Maybe, but I don't know. At certain points where he's like escaping too. That's why I thought he did that.
But it also like it'll start the scene as that, and then like the shot is that, and then it will like go back to normal in a second.
I'm pretty sure he does it both times when he escapes both of the buildings.
Yeah,
okay.
it's like whenever.
I'm thinking he's doing it for a certain purpose.
Is he okay? I just couldn't tell.
Yeah, he does, but maybe that's why. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But you can tell he's because of that risk of being like, okay, we're gonna. First of all, she said like they shot way more than they usually did because of this risk he knew he was taking from the beginning. But like because he was willing to take these risks of like we might not get a lot of footage, he gets a lot of footage that you could tell like a normal. If you're shooting film, you would never even try.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause, like why would you shoot a shot so low lit? You know, at the risk of not getting anything.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like so, yeah. There's like these crazy high contrast shots of like these deep shadows.
Yeah.
But like normally you probably have to have way more expensive film and just camera to do it and stuff.
Yeah.
Or better sets, like just
It's unbelievable.
Because apparently like, all of this was natural lighting for the most part too. Just he said like he could only add lamps and stuff.
Well, he like refused because he
exactly.
I think if it's said in the Richard Brody book that like eventually like he compromised by like blacking out the windows in a scene or something.
Yes.
But like he like became paying him to do it or something like. So he only wanted it to be true but yeah, I guess we can go ahead and get into it. The movie starts off with I believe it's a voiceover which says it's let me caution. I think it's when he's in the car, I think, and he said sometimes reality can be too complex to be conveyed by the written word. Legend remolds it into a form that can be spread all across the world. I mean, you could just like, that's literally just like replace legend with cinema, and it's like that's kind of like what he's saying at the beginning. But pretty much, I mean, we get like the coolest introduction to like lighting a cigarette in the car, like and like when he's smoking it, it's like you can't see his head; it's like all in the shadows too. But then basically like he reaches Alphaville, like you and also there's a lot of like inner titles, which I mean. I think the only film so far we've really seen them in is Vivre sa vie. He might have had a couple in Woman's Woman, but I think this is like the first film where it's like he's really going crazy with them. Because like even Versus TV, it's very like it's very structured how he like does the intertitles, but he'll just like cut to. It's where he starts doing it like almost like as like instinct in a way.
Is it not Breathless?
Breathless. I feel like it's. I haven't seen it in enough time, but. But like he's like this film. There's so much, and I love like when he does it. It's like amazing. And this is like I think it's like one of the first ones where we cuts the Alphaville song when he reaches it, and it says silence, logic, safety, prudence, and that's just how he introduces it. But basically, let me caution. Which I should also mention. I forgot to mention this. This guy's definitely Humphrey Bogart, like incarnated, like like the French Humphrey Bogart, which it's definitely why, because, I mean, like obviously,
Is there anything specific that makes you say that?
His face, like his rough face.
Well,
his,
do you remember
like,
what Richard
voice.
Brody says? Because apparently, Lemmy Caution was a famous actor this time.
Yeah.
But most directors, when they would film him, they'd only film his good side, because apparently one side of his face was like really scarred.
Okay. Yeah.
But like Godard's like, no, I'm filming everything.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, but he also said he had a hard time getting roles after this too.
No, yeah, I think he said like he didn't get any roles after, which apparently he did like Godard did kind of a sequel to this, like in the 80s or 90s, like it's called like it's something like named after like it's like Germany year something. It's like named after the Rossellini film. Okay. But apparently it's like a.
Damn, I did not know that.
I'm gonna find this really quickly because it's crazy because I need to watch it. Yeah, it's called Germany year 90. Apparently, it's about like the supremely world-weary Lemmy Caution, last seen in Godard's Alphaville, has several strange encounters while trying to make his way from former East Germany to the West. It was 1991.
Damn.
62 minutes. Yeah. Which we should also mention that this guy is also a character too, and like Eddie constantly this guy Lemmy Caution's like a previous character, like noir character or detective. Which is the same thing basically, but yeah, this like also the way like he kind of like the way his dialogue is like kind of bouncing off everyone, like the cool like kind of like suave like almost like smart ass dialogue is very Humphrey Bogart to me. There was no way Godard wasn't thinking, because like I know Godard, like the French loved Humphrey Bogart, but
he's got a menacing demeanor. Whenever he's just standing there, but then like whenever he laughs, you're like, oh, this is just a big lovable guy.
You trust him, him. Especially in this cruel world, you know. You gotta trust this guy.
Yeah. We have his face to guide us.
Yeah.
But basically, he goes to this hotel, and he's posing as a newspaper reporter, Ivan Johnson, who works for the. Okay, do you remember the name of this newspaper?
The Figaro
Pravda.
Yeah.
Isn't the Vertov?
Kino Pravda.
I don't know if that's like a...
Well, Pravda's Truth.
Pravda's Truth? Okay.
So, I don't know what Figaro means.
Figaro.
Figure?
I don't know.
Figaro Truth. I don't know.
It reminded me of that.
I thought of that, but I was like, I don't know if he...
Yeah, it might just be like a language issue, like a translation thing. But basically, he gets led to this room by this girl. And basically, like, he's like he's like very resistant to her because obviously he knows like she's like a level 3. Well, it's revealed a bit later. She's a level 3 seductress, who I think basically is supposed to like incriminate people because it's Alphaville's outlaws like love, basically any like self-expression, and so basically like I think she's trying to like trick him into like doing that, and basically he's like of course the hearted person that like rejects it. And then basically, he like checking in the room. He's like checking the room and everything, like classic like detective shit. And then goes to take a bath, and then she like basically to try and like tempt him, takes off her robe and like and is like asking if he wants to take a bath.
I don't feel like this is temptation. I just think this is the world.
It's literally level.
This is seductress, but I think this is just the world. This is like there's no love, so this is the replacement.
She's a prostitute.
Is it? Okay.
Like I think this is what's expected of him. Like he's supposed to want someone with him to have sex with for this night.
Yeah, we see the friend later on is like a guy that's been swallowed by this world.
Yeah. So I don't think this is like they're trying to trick him or anything or I don't think it's like a trick or anything. I think this is just like the society that they're living in. Like this is what
makes sense, I guess too.
I
honestly felt like she was tricking him, but I guess that could work too. Yeah. But basically, he rejects her, and then this guy like it's all of a sudden this guy like you see this voice all of a sudden like like asking him why he did that, and then like basically attacks him basically, which I don't know if he's like supposed to be like the pimp or something, or like because that's kind of he also this guy that comes out of nowhere too from the room also kind of led me to believe it was a trick too, because like he was like waiting to like catch him or something, like I don't know, but like but basically like I love this scene too because when he goes after her, he cuts to like almost like no dialogue, and it's just like classical music. He starts like playing classical music while they're like having this like fight basically, but then Lemmy Caution like shoots and kills him, and then this is when it's revealed she's like a level 3 like seductress, like takes pictures of her, but then we get the quick cut to like, okay, this is like kind of random too. He like cuts like he like shoots the picture on the wall, but like in the two like it's like a picture of a girl. He's like shoots the tits basically. It's like so random too. It's like what the fuck?
Well, the reason I say I don't think this is like a trick is because everything in this society is trying to breed out irrationality. And something irrational.
I would say rationality.
No, something irrational to it. So like something irrational to like Alpha 60 or Alpha 5 or whatever they call it. Something irrational to it would be rejecting its version of what it thinks love is, which is just sex or sensuality, as Anna Karina puts it later. Okay. And so like this is like one of the first stops where it's like this guy's trying to like catch him, bring him in, so that he can maybe be one of those 50 men that are executed in that swimming pool or something, because they're irrational men living in their society. Okay, yeah. They're not living in the status quo.
Okay, yeah.
That's the reason why I was like, I don't think it's like a trick. I think like that's what makes it more interesting to me on rewatch this time, is because like this world he builds is an interesting world just in general.
Oh yeah.
Like,
also, you have, like,
it
the
makes you
tattoos
think. Yeah, it makes you
like,
think of like the society this thing created, basically, and how he's basically saying like this is a society humans are wanting essentially. But
yes, I agree with it. Like it's not necessarily they're tricking him specifically. It's like this is just the whole world is.
No, yeah, this is like
it's like seduce. That's why she's literally seductress. It's like she's a version of.
Because the whole thing is like they're trying to seduce people to become like this, and if they can't, they'll kill them.
Yeah. I also
I think that's like.
I also love how they like try not to like. He doesn't explain a lot too. Like he never like goes in detail on like why she's level 3. You know.
Yeah.
It's never because like it just like adds like a mystery to it.
Yes. No, it's more like let me caution it. Just like this is what I like about him. Like he's not questioning too much.
Yeah.
It's just like a shitty world.
Damn, yeah. He's like I'm gonna get out of here.
Yeah, he's not like shocked by everything.
Well, he's sitting here to evaluate.
Yeah, so. That's true. He already has some idea what it is.
He's Agent 003, you know.
That's why I like the Sodom and Gomorrah storyline, because it's like the Archangel was sent to Sodom and Gomorrah to just evaluate and see the state of things and to report back essentially on Judgment. But
yeah.
Because that is what it feels like in this also. I like it a lot whenever I think of it like that.
But then we get so you know I mentioned how like the scene where like in Le Petit Soldat when he like hits on Anna Karina basically by like telling her to wave her hair. I was like it was smooth, but this moment is much smoother honestly. When he when all of a sudden a voice tells him Natasha von Braun wants to see him, and then shoots the lighter to light it with the gun.
That is good.
And then she gets there and she asks him got a light, and he does it. He says, I came 6,000 miles to give it to you.
Damn.
I was like, oh my god.
That's a good one. That's a good pickup line. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, if you're... Like, this is a long play. Like, the first one in Le Petit Soldat is, like, a long play. Because, like, you give it to the girl,
play, yeah.
She's like, oh, this is kind of cute. Like, whatever. Like, I don't know. He's trying to hit on me. Whatever. I'll just fill this out. Like entertain him. She, like, fills it out. And then you fill out your part and then give it back to her, and you're like, damn, that's pretty good. Yeah. Like, because, like, that's what the girl has to be thinking at that point. Like, because, like, if you just give her those 3 things, there's no way you would ever assume it spells out I love you at any point. Like,
no, they're both great.
They are both great, though. But, I did forget about the shooting the cigarette lighter. That was really dope. Yeah, that was really dope.
Which, I mean, there's obviously some great cigarette.
Oh, yeah.
I know Blake's in heaven when he's singing them. Like, but... Basically, she has orders to assist him here to like guide him, because she's the daughter of like the scientist that rules everything, von Braun, and
whose doctor knows Ferrat too?
I think it's
Is it von Braun also?
No, because that's like isn't that who he's investigating? The scientist thinks he's investigating him.
Well, because I got confused. I got confused because whenever he was saying Dr. Nosferatu, I thought he was talking about the guys in the glasses, like the Von Braun guy or whatever that we're following. But
yeah, I wasn't.
I honestly can't remember.
Let me
I forgot. I know Von Braun is the scientist.
Yeah.
I don't know who he's calling Dr. Nosferatu though.
Yeah, because I just thought that name was fun. I mean, he's definitely spoofing. Like this is also it's definitely a spoof of sci-fi, but it's also spoofing or not like spoofing, but it's also playing in the genre of vampires too, because
German expressionism.
Yeah,
he made this specifically as kind of like, in that almost like a response to that in a way too, and also in that tradition of like German expressionism also had this kind of theme of
deep.
Yes, but showing you this kind of unrealistic world, but it's really your own world you're seeing.
Yeah.
You know, like it's actually the same world you're living in. You know, like Metropolis or something. Like Whistling loved this. Like, it's a scientific world, but really it's like this is kind of what our world is. It is monsters. Yeah, or Nosferatu, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, damn.
But basically, she tells him like she's never fallen in love, basically, which is kind of like a big part of the movie is like him trying to like almost like get out of like the repressed stuff that she's been like that Alphaville has kind of forced her to repress, and then basically they go ahead and get in the car, and then they like have a conversation. Like she says, all we have in life is in the present. No one has lived in the past, and no one will live in the future. But basically, once she also reveals, this is when she reveals she's the daughter of Professor Von Braun. He like immediately is like, can you set me up an interview, and like stops the car and everything, whatever he was like doing. He would say he was going to go see a friend or whatever. But like once he finds out he goes to like a phone booth, and it's like the first time or not the first time, but just like a really interesting like scene, because like you see the other guy in the other booth like spying on him basically. But then Lemmy Caution like noses it, and then you see the cut to like him pulling out the knife. And then, like, go through the door. Isn't the guy, like, is he outside? And then he, like, opens the door and, like, grabs him and, like, stabs him. Yeah. And then just leaves the phone booth. Just, like, so smooth. It's amazing.
There's a lot of, like, quick fight scenes like this.
Yeah. It's
they make them look cool, but they're also just, like, kind of, like, funny, too.
Honestly,
like, how easy they are.
Like, the one, like, later where it's like they're, like, standing still. Like, they start out, like, super fast.
Yeah. I was gonna
or slow-mo, and then, like,
the statues.
Yeah. But, okay, no, this is the one we cut to, the hotel
where he goes to visit his friend.
And then like his friend's not there yet.
His friend Henry.
Henry Dixon.
This is where it's like almost like a surrealist scene, like this hotel lobby.
You're like, what the fuck is going on? It's like so bizarre what they're like talking, like how they talk to each other too, because this is like kind of like supposed to mention like the fringes of like the society.
Yes.
Like just like show us that because.
But it's like kind of transactional world.
Yeah, because one of them says to Henry Dixon when he arrives, "Will you hurry up and commit suicide? We need room for my cousin." He says quite a few, we need room for my cousin. Like it's like literally like
just being straight.
Just kill yourself, bro. But basically, because I think this is just like him doing research. At least I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Well, this is his old friend too.
Yeah, old friend. Yeah. It was like it's just like, because he's like very experienced in this world. Because he's like saying like quite a few people commit suicide because like they can't adapt, and then like those who don't adapt, don't commit suicide, get executed. And then like he asks like, is Dick Tracy dead? What about Flash Gordon?
There's also a great cut when he's talking about people that can't adapt, where it's just like pan of like the Paris, like a building.
Okay, yes.
Like as he's saying that too.
Yeah. But I think also this is around the time when he cuts to E = MC squared.
Yes, he's cut that to a couple of times.
I mean, it's like this in like another equation, like scientific equation. But it's like I love how like the way it looks too, because like it's like light bulbs, like
that light bulb,
like neon light bulbs, like that one too. But like even like EMC squared is like made out of like these like neon lights. It's actually
my favorite shot with the E = MC squared is whenever he pops his head up from under him.
Oh my god!
It's where he's doing his real detective work.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's so funny.
But the swinging light bulb, it's like they're just like these simple, like very like low budget, like, but they look creepy just with the lighting and like the world we know we're in, you know. But there's like when they're talking, there's like light bulb swinging as they're talking about like he says something like the technological world is our ideal place now, like
yes.
Like that's all they value.
Like people have become slaves to probability is one of the lines he says. Like Like no more artists. Like
no, because that idea, that line you said, slave probabilities, was like part of the reason why Godard wanted to make the movie too. Was like apparently we should have mentioned at the beginning where Godard, the reason why he was interested in this movie was he talked to Antonioni after he made Red Desert, which also had artificial intelligence as a theme, and Godard was so interested he like went to start doing research on it right after. Yeah. And he like I forgot, it was some like computer manufacturer. It was some computer.
Like IBM, I think.
It was, I don't know if it was IBM, but it was some company like that. Where like he went to talk to a bunch of them, and he says basically he has a quote where he says basically like he was like shocked by how like driven by probabilities these people were, and that's all they thought about and stuff like that. Yeah. And he's like, I want to make a movie about it. So that line is like directly that, you know.
Honestly,
I need to watch Red Desert again. It's been so long.
No, I need to watch Red Desert too. I remember really liking it.
Because I'm like, damn, this is definitely an Antonioni theme for sure now that I think about it.
Like, a big part of Red Desert even isn't really just like art, it's just like just like modern industrial society too. It's
more
like,
industry too.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. AI is a modern industry.
Yeah.
No, it's the next modern industry, what people want it to be anyway. Yeah, you know.
Oh boy. We're living that world now.
It's crazy that this movie is in '65 though.
No, yeah.
Even though I'm like, it was made at its own time.
It's absurd. But well, then like, because then a girl walks in. Like I'm sure she's another like seductress. And then this is when we get the shot because like this guy like is like transfixed by her, and like I guess this is like more like a transactional like kind of because like and then he like pops out from behind the eaves and then like takes pictures. Like, he's like taking pictures of them while they're like doing it, like just like to study them in a way. But basically, yeah, he just takes pictures, and then I think this is when he goes into a taxi, and then he says, I love what he says. He wants to go to Ray of Light Avenue. It's like little like details like that. Like
we should remember like the guy basically has a change of heart when he dies. Henry does.
Okay. Oh yeah,
he starts saying "I love you" because they gives him a book. And that book is like a book of poetry that apparently Godard loved too, which I want to mention because she reads from it later on. It's the same book.
Okay, same book.
This is like the book that saves her in a way, so it's kind of important. Cause, he gives her a book at the very end when he's like dying.
Yeah.
Because.
Yeah.
Like as he's dying, he starts to say like "I love you," and like it's almost like he snaps out of something in a way.
Yeah. There's no wait. Someone say conscious makes Alpha 60 kill itself.
Yes, he says that too. And he says saves those that weep.
Okay.
Something like that. I forget what the book is by, but she'll mention it later on, the exact name of the book too.
Okay. But then he goes to meet Natasha at the. I think it's just like him giving Alpha 60 giving like a lecture basically. Which I mean, this is like it's like really long.
These are the moments I was talking about where it's literally just a lecture, where I start to lose a little bit of interest. Just because it's like there are probably better ways that you can get this information by to make it.
He's like doing cool stuff like formally too. Like
there are interesting things formally, especially the shots of Anna Karina's face.
That's why
that emphasizes what I was watching at this time, not listening to. Because I wasn't really reading the subtitles in this moment.
But you don't have to though. You don't have to.
Like damn. Also, the guy's voice too. The superhero's voice is just like unbelievable.
Plus, what he's saying is just so good.
Like I wasn't listening to that because I got a little bored and just started watching it Korean.
The present is the form of all life.
Just like Lenny Caution or Lenny Caution.
Okay, Lenny Caution is actually this is so funny, but like the present is the form of all life. It is a possession that no force can take away from us. Time is like a circle, spinning infinitely. The declining arc is the past, and the inclining arc is the future. That's like the beginning. There's a lot of stuff like.
He keeps going. No, I love it too because it's a combination of what he's saying combined with these images that are almost like random, but like no.
I mean, obviously, I think honestly one of the best ones is once we know the number one, we think we know the number two because 1 + 1 = 2. We forget that first we must know the meaning of plus.
Well, that's the best one because right after he says that, which we know the meaning of plus, which is a way like it's kind of what we're saying. It's like like no absolute value in the image. The sun quote is like. There's something in between the images, you know, this idea of plus in a way. But like right after he says that, the music rises and it cuts like Anna Karina's face in close up too.
Yeah.
Almost like, you know, she's like that meaning in a way. You know, that plus.
But like like we are unique, racially unique. The meaning of words and expression is no longer understood. An isolated word in a drawing can be understood, but the meaning of the whole is lost. Like there's just so much. Like you're like, especially with the guy's voice, like it's crazy. But then she goes out to the lobby and then he said I left because I didn't understand a word he was saying.
But see, I think that's the gist of it, and why you're not supposed to pay too much attention to what the robot's saying.
No.
Well, you can't. No,
you can pay attention because he's saying some things, but at the end of the day, it all just is hogwash.
No. No, definitely not.
It is because Lemmy Caution doesn't agree with it, and he's the.
But it's a logic though. It's a logic that he's saying. It's not necessarily hogwash. This is a logic that people actually believe.
No, but it's hogwash because he's saying this with conviction that with conviction that he knows what it means, and he doesn't know what plus means either. Is what I'm saying. So if you don't know what 1 + 1 = 2, and you don't know what plus means, if you think he's saying that the people listening to him don't know that, but the AI also doesn't know that.
But
because
the last line he actually says before this, he says, "The acts of man through the centuries will gradually and logically destroy them. I, Alpha 60, am merely the logical means of destruction." And to me, that's why it's not hogwash, because Alpha 60, the point Godard makes, or he says why he made this movie is people are complicit in this. It's not just AI by itself randomly doing this, and people are just some innocent victims. It's like you said, people come in here and they get, in a way, this is the world they want already. Yeah. So this philosophy, Alpha 60, what he's saying is what people want already. And as he says is, I'm only the means, right? People are worshiping AI already now. Think about all the jobs it's going to bring, the better world we're going to get. And so that's why it's not just hogwash. It's this people is what people actually believe. Yeah.
I guess if you're watching it from that point of view, yes. I'm watching it from...
But that's why, from Lemmy's point of view, it's he's supposed to be the irrational. He's the irrational character in this movie.
Them, yes.
Yes. But he's actually literally supposed to represent, in a way, irrationality. Because Alpha 60 is logic. And that's why Godard is saying we don't live... If we live in a world of pure logic, this Alpha 60 is, this is what we're going to get. This is actually the world we want, if we say that,
No, yes.
Where we say humanities are worthless and STEM is all that there is to the world, because that's what makes money. That kind of world, that kind of idea.
I agree with this, which is why I said at the end of the day...
That's why it's not hogwash, though, because this is
what people... Mean hogwash, though?
It's not... I mean, it's true. I wanted to say it's not true because it's not true to people that believe... Lemmy Caution.
I see what you're saying.
If people were watching this movie and hadn't thought about it this way, then yes, paying attention to this lecture would make a lot. It would actually have some value. But to me, I just am watching it and I'm just thinking of it from the point of view of the movie.
I see what you're
I'm
saying.
on the irrational side of Lemmy Caution, so everything that this AI is saying, I'm disagreeing with essentially. Because I already don't want to live in the status quo world that he's espousing. And
I do kind of see what you're saying. This AI itself doesn't understand what it's saying.
Yeah.
Even though it does say, even says he's only a means.
Because I love later on in the movie whenever he basically tells the AI this is why I'm doing this, and the AI's I can't quantify that response.
Well, that's why I say this now, because we'll get to the ending why this irrationality is part of life in a way. Contradiction is a part of life. We'll get to the end, but there's something about life that just pure logic can't account for.
Yes.
But no, that's why I love some of these scenes too.
Well, I don't think in general I don't think rationality in general is bad too.
No,
it's and I think that's part of why you can take some stuff from this.
That's why it's Alpha 60. That's why you kind of can agree with he's saying in a lot of this stuff.
Because a lot of times it's rationality and empiricism or whatever is pitched against.
That is a good way to describe the world, or even to make use of it.
People think it's you have to be completely one or completely the other, but there's a lot of overlap. It's not completely distinctive, But after he says he didn't understand, she says it's very simple. This evening we learned that life and death lie within the same circle.
Say it down.
But basically, then this is when they take a ride, and then he says everyone looks miserable, but she's trying to rationalize it. She's it's because an electricity shortage or something.
He's like, you should call this dumb Zeroville.
Yeah, Zeroville, yeah. But there's also a cut to, like, right before that. Like, it cuts to Alpha 6 saying, like, whether it be this so-called capitalist world or the communist world, there is no evil intent to subjugate men through power of indoctrination or finance. There is simply natural ambition in any organization to plan its activities. You might say some more. That's like what I have down. But basically, they go. I think this is when they're going to the execution, which right before he says, "What are we seeing?" and she says, "I don't know, a light and sound thing," which I was like. It's like way you could describe like cinema in a way. Like,
no, that's why it's funny that it gets to like the opposite. Like,
execution. Like it's like, damn. You think about it, you're like they're about to go like
this is their this is their light and sound show. Basically.
Like this is like their cinema. Yeah.
I think that's why she says that.
Okay, that makes sense. But basically, they go to this like swimming pool. They also see a girl in the elevator with like the number like tattooed on her forehead, like, but which I think is when we're introduced to like that like. System.
The number, yeah, because we see her number later.
Yeah,
Anna Kremos.
Basically, they go to this execute. This is what we kind of like talked about a little bit, but basically, like he's like, I love. It's kind of a funny moment when he's like, asked her, "Can I take photos?" She's like, "I'll ask," and then like right away he pulls it out and takes a picture. Like he just like just doesn't want to wait. Like, well, basically he gets to talk or like briefly like kind of like talk to Professor Von Braun. But
we should talk about the executions first, because this is a fucking crazy way to kill people. I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah.
Like, diving board, you shoot them, and then you have women jump in, stab them to death. Like, it's fucking insane.
Yeah,
like,
it's an interesting one.
Well, and apparently, both the guys are reading from the same poet, too, from that book. Because one of them says, go towards that which you love, before he dies. Because they're basically getting killed for, like, showing passion, basically.
For showing passion. Because the saddest one is, like, there's an old man that's getting executed because he cried that his wife died.
Yes.
And it's like, no matter like how irrational you are at the prospect of death, if you lose something that close to you that's been with you that long, like, yeah, you're gonna but
it's not rational though. You should have seen it coming. That's what life.
You should have seen it coming, exactly. Yeah. But that's like the irrationality.
It makes no
of life.
sense. Yeah, exactly. But see, that's where it's like this movies can take you to the extreme. You know? It's like obviously not real in a way, but it's like you can see that. Like if someone's like, you should only live rationally. You know, that's rational. People are gonna die. You know, why would you cry? You should be killed for that. Actually, no. I'm kidding. Damn, that's actually good. No.
Danny's Utopia.
No, because he asked the guy, like, why are they being executed, and he said like they have behaved illogically.
Yeah.
But
then another guy dies, and he says, before he dies, like, there's only love and faith, not your progress. But there's some words between. I forgot, but like, I didn't write it all down. But basically, he's like, there's only love and faith. Oh, there's only love and faith, and that's why he's dead. You know?
Yeah. But this is when he like tries to get the professor alone in the elevator, which this is hilarious.
It's a great way to do it.
Yeah, I was like, first of all, like getting it in the elevator is like crazy. Like having to like basically like smooth in, like just jump in there, like grab him and like hold everyone off. But then he like immediately like gets caught, like because like that like opens up and like but like the way they're like pushing him around the elevator and just like only focusing on like the middle part, so you just think like you like see him like go from like the right of the frame to the left, and then like he'll go out of frame for a second and then like keeps going back and forth.
The camera stays.
It's got a very Looney Tunes effect to it. So.
Honestly, yeah,
because it's funny. Because you're just watching it and you're just after like the fifth time you're like you just start laughing. It's just like oh damn.
Yeah. But basically, like he's like getting carried out of the elevator, and then like you see Natasha, which then she's like really upset, and then like the guy asks her, "Are you dying? Are you crying? Are you crying?" And she says no because that's illogical, and then like the one tear that comes down, it's like it's like a fire shot, like. But this is when they take him to the room. Alpha 6 room.
I love this shot.
The Blaze room, yeah.
Well, okay, first of all, when they're walking down the hallway.
When they're going down the hallway.
Yeah, and it's like, you hear the voice, like, it's like,
Occupy.
Basically, like, say if it's, like, closed or not when they're walking by.
Well, the way he's saying occupied, though.
Occupy.
It's insane. Yeah.
I can't do it.
Oh, it's so bad. But, like, every door is occupied. It's just like I don't know, like, just a way to use a voice, like, to make this, like, it's just like a bland hallway, you know? But you had this, like, way of saying occupied, and, like, the way they're walking, it was, like...
Honestly. A lot of hallway shots.
Yeah. And then, like, finally when they come to free, the way he says free, too.
But this is when we get like an interview scene, which Godard has a lot of these.
This is like playing the Blade Runner scene.
Yeah. Would you like the scene though?
I don't know. Blade Runner doesn't have any floating mics though. I don't think.
Oh yeah.
The floating mics are so fire.
They actually do. It's just that floating thing that looks at your eye though.
Not the same. What? This guy said they actually do, and it didn't say the same. It wasn't the same at all.
It's basically the same.
No.
A floating thing at eye level.
Oh my god.
Wait, is which better, Alphaville or Blade Runner?
I mean, Blade Runner's definitely.
Oh,
wait, it's not even a question.
What?
Which one's better?
Alphaville.
Okay,
2-1.
2-1.
It means,
I mean,
subjective.
Rationally, you lose.
I mean, I have always been more of the poetry lover.
Oh my god,
That's
crazy.
You know, I don't like being talked to.
No.
I like being shown.
You don't like cinematic poetry. Why'd you pick John Woo then?
That's
okay.
cinematic poetry. What?
A Better
How
Tomorrow,
dare you?
yes. A Better Tomorrow, yes.
All of them. Even paycheck.
Oh, we won't start at this.
Okay. But yeah, the interview scene, basically he's getting interrogated.
That's where he has the birds.
Yeah, a lot of what do you love most of all? Golden woman. What is the privilege of the dead to die no more?
Damn.
Do you know what turns darkness into light? Poetry. And this one, the next one's what you mentioned earlier. What is your religion? I believe in the spontaneity of our conscience.
Yes.
And then, do you draw any distinction between the mysterious principles of knowledge and those of love? I do not believe there's any mystery in love. You are not telling the truth. I don't understand. You are hiding something. Like, he's basically like...
To me, this is more... It's almost like there's something about a machine that can't understand this kind of aspect of human love, you know?
Or is he in, like, yeah, like...
This really what breaks him in the end, too, later.
But then, it also feels like he's trying to... Because he says, I do not believe there's any mystery in love.
That's what I'm saying. For a human,
okay,
in a way, it's like... There's something about love that a human can understand that a machine can't.
Okay, I see what you're saying, yeah.
You see what I'm saying, yeah.
Basically, he sets him free, basically. And then he gets taken...
He sets him free for some reason, though. I forgot what the reason... Because there's like some logical reason.
Because he's like... the Pierrot asked him, how do you distinguish between a lie and truth? And I think he's like... He honestly, like... I don't think the computer, like... can do that, or... Something like that. Something along those lines.
The computer just said they haven't found anything to hold. Basically, they haven't found anything to hold.
Yeah, because also this is
also
like
anything incriminating.
This is technically like a nerve of like it's like they mentioned it's like one of like the.
And we do learn later that
shit.
the next scene that they actually wanted they actually want him.
Yeah.
Because like the next scene they go to is that center, the scientist.
The
center
chief engineer.
Yeah, to go Bishop von Braun, I guess. And when they say he could be useful to them because he like remembers the past and stuff. Or
well, it's because. It's the thing where any society like this that tries to remove individuality. I can't say
individuality.
Yeah, individuality. There we go. Individuality.
But see, this is where it's like, but they also.
But they don't. Well, they don't have the people to actually lead after that.
So, but they
because
still
if everyone's the same, then you can't.
Yeah.
Then there's no one to actually like do anything.
Yeah.
Like you can't have anyone that thinks for themselves.
But basically, well, first of all, when they walk into the room initially, okay, first of all, it's a fire office. It's like a high rise, like you can see like the city behind, like across the window. But they walk in, like a girl's like standing on a desk, like one of like I think it's like must be some type of like I don't know. It's like he's working on a prototype or something of like some girl or something. But like she like walks away, and then basically he talks to the chief engineer, where basically it's like. It's like this guy's like almost like just explaining like the ideals of Alphaville, I would say, like into more detail because he mentioned something that made me think of like David Hume when he says in the lives of both individuals and the nation everything is cause and effect. When someone like David Hume was like like a radical and Pierce is like literally the opposite, like cause effect don't exist. But it's also like this guy's like he's also the first person like
because they say, do you remember he says because they're saying what their theories are for how they build Alpha 60, okay, and they say they never say why, only because everything is cause and effect.
Okay.
So like if everything is cause and effect, there's no point to ask why. You know, it's just one after the other. You know, like there's no point in asking why. It's just that's what the machine is. You know. Yeah. So that's kind of like what they're operating from that kind of perspective. You know.
Yes.
Like Blake said, no thinking really.
Yes. And also. he also like is like the first one to question like if Mr. Caution's like a spy basically, and I think he said like because he.
Well, because do you remember?
It's like Leonard Nosferatu like was like someone who got like banished or something from it. He says like, oh, we're some spies we have spies set here to like investigate that, and then he's like, you might be one of them. Like, he doesn't know.
Because apparently, like this von Braun scientist is based on. Let me find it really quick. The guy's name was Werner von Braun. Was a Nazi scientist that moved to America and worked with NASA.
Okay, yeah.
And apparently this guy was like based on where like, because we see they're suspicious that von Braun, Lemmy's trying to get von Braun back to. I think he actually is. He's trying to get von Braun back to the outer world to work for them.
Yes. Okay.
The same way like the U.S. used Nazi scientists right after and just try to ignore all their past crimes and stuff.
Yeah.
So in a way, like Lemmy's not even totally innocent either.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's actually trying to get him.
We asked him
if he's actually just doing research or not, but the scientist is suspicious that that's why.
Okay.
Because Godard is apparently making that reference, like how America
sense.
Also just used Nazi scientists.
That's
crazy.
crazy.
And stuff. Yeah.
But we because I think after this they take him to see Alpha 60, and I think they tell him like you think about more what has passed than about what is to come.
Yeah, they say your tendency to dwell in the past can be useful to us.
Okay, yes, because like
that's what Alpha says.
Because they're like obsessed with like the present.
Yes,
like a huge thing.
That's like basic. Yes, that's like if you only believe in cause and effect, that's what the present is in a way. You know.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like you can't say anything more.
Okay. Yes. So yeah, whatever's happened happened.
Yeah.
But also, I love when he's talking about like why he uses a gun. He says like, "So I just shoot. It's my only defense against fatality." Like a fire line.
See, that's like we get like he's like the Western hero or the detective hero,
like
that kind of hero.
Bogart,
yes,
like,
he's that classical hero in this kind of world.
Yes.
That's like one of those lines. You know?
Yes. Yeah. But basically, I think he goes back to. He goes back to Natasha basically, like at his room. He like sees.
I want to mention at least one thing that Alpha 60 says during their like conversation.
Okay, yeah.
When he says no man can understand, then they're talking about why they're useful for Alpha 60 basically, and he says no man can understand then for the references are too complex. And then let me ask what sort of problems. And he says train schedules, movement of people and goods, electricity distribution, suppression of crime, war operations, and like to me that just made me think in a way like. We're already in this world where we've created a world where we're so reliant on technology, like technology controls us in a large degree. You know, like we don't understand the technology we use and we rely on to a large degree. Like
most people don't understand that a solar flare can come and take out all of it in one instance.
Yeah. Let alone even.
And then how would we live?
Yeah, I know.
Like it's like it's
just
like impossible to live without a phone.
How reliant
like,
we are on it.
Like, it's hard to live without a phone nowadays. Like.
And that's like the world we live in now. This like 1965 world that Godard's talking about, you know, where it seems a little more futuristic stuff.
But yeah, basically, this is the scene where he tries to get her to understand conscious, basically, by giving her the book.
The book is called Capital of Sorrow.
Capital of Sorrow. Okay, who's it written by?
Let me look. I forgot.
But like, he also like gets her to order him breakfast.
Paul Eluard.
Okay.
Eluard.
Okay. We get a Jean-Pierre Laud cameo, who's actually an AD on this movie. I found out before. When he is the guy who brings him breakfast. And I think doesn't he get mad at her for like reading it or something?
Yeah.
He replaces the book.
Oh yeah, he replaces it.
He's like the new dictionary. Because it's teased earlier where they're like
the Bible.
Yeah, it's teased earlier. The Bible is the dictionary.
Okay,
basically.
yes,
that's where it's revealed now where the Bible is the dictionary.
It's a great show.
Yeah. Science.
Yeah.
I do love the little
Only
discussions of like sensuality though, because what's the difference between sensuality and love? Because I think that happens in the scene where she's basically like asking what is love, and he's like, I'll show you, and then he like reaches for her, and she's like, oh, you're talking about sensuality, and he's like, no.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he's basically just trying to explain more about it, like about human emotions still. But
Well, yeah, she goes on a big monologue too.
She does.
For that though, because like he somehow, I don't know if he probably knew before if he's aware of von Braun that she'd obviously been to the outer countries before, because he's now like saying like, have you ever been to the outer countries? And like when she says no, he says like, yeah, you're lying, basically. And like basically trying to figure out where she was actually born. Like he's saying like Florence. I forgot the other ones. It was like Florence. Tokyo was the first one.
Rama.
But then finally New York, and then he by saying New York basically like he like understands. He like gets out like the repressed stuff like about New York out of her. And then basically, okay, she asks him what love is, and then immediate cut to like guys getting out of the police car, like from the window basically. But then we get this long monologue. It almost feels like just like a breaking of like she finally like is like breaking out of like the trance in a way, like Alphaville trance in a way. Yes. She's like, it's like this very like Godardian poetic like dialogue, which is like
at least she's trying to. Right?
Trying to, yeah, I can see that.
In the process.
There's a like a. Is there any part that you
it's like? It's more like a visual scene with this montage.
Yeah, also visual,
like,
yes, because like the shots of like him
behind
him, and like, so yeah, it's crazy.
Is this the one where the lights are going on?
Yes, lights are going crazy.
Yeah,
and then like it ends by like the silhouette with them holding hands, like like in the window. Yeah.
My favorite is whenever the lights alternate between them two. Probably.
Yes.
It's honestly so crazy.
So good.
Images.
It's honestly like this is why I love like Godard too. It's like a way to show like what love is only through cinema, though. You know, this like montage of like lights and just like faces. I don't know, just
it's just like the dialogue.
It's the way the feeling you get out of it. The dialogue is like all of it just combined. You know?
Yes. It's crazy. But and then he asked her if she's gonna betray him, and then the telephone, or I think she says no, right? And then
no,
he's like trying to phone someone.
Doesn't she say yes?
Or is it yes?
I can't remember. I think she actually says yes though.
I can't because it happens so quickly because he goes like to phone someone, and then like the telephone system is down, and so like he's like starting to freak out because he for some reason he goes she's like asking what's up, and he goes an atomic bomb on Alphaville. And then basically that's when the guys walk. It like happens so fast, like it's like you're like wait.
Yeah, no, it's
like
like
it's like so bizarre. Yeah, it's like how we get here, and then I guess and then this is when she like walks to their side immediately. Which you don't know. You don't know. You don't know if it's an act or not though. Like she could be like just pretending.
Well, it's because like you're thinking at this point, it's just like, is she just too brainwashed?
Like yeah.
Like that's why I said it was like a moment.
Yeah.
She has like a moment of consciousness during that moment. But then she snaps back.
Okay. Yeah.
At least at this point.
Yeah.
She
immediately like her expression changes too.
Yes,
like, it's
it does.
Great acting. Like,
for a moment it changes and then she goes back.
Yeah.
I love this scene though because it's not like the story's not funny, but it's just the way it's constructed is hilarious because it's like I think the guy literally says, "Hit him whenever he bowls over or something at the end of the story or something." Like he says, "Hit him at the end of the story," and then like. She's telling the story and you're like, okay, it's not that funny, and then at the very end he just like bowls over laughing and then they smack him in the head and you're just like, damn, okay, that's really funny. Like
honestly. Because you also don't see him smile a lot too. It's like super bizarre when you see it. Like but this is I think they take him back to Alpha 60.
Yeah. And
then basically we find out I think is the first time we actually found out his name's Lemmy Caution. Yeah. Secret agent number 003. And then he's like interrogate one of the best lines in the movie. What is your secret? Tell me, Mr. Caution. Something that never changes, by day or by night. The past represents its future. It goes forth in a straight line, yet it ends by coming full circle. And like the computer's like so confused. He's like, several of my circuits are trying to solve your riddle. Like, I mean, do you guys have an answer?
I just think it's love. Like that's the one thing the computer can't understand is human love, essentially, and emotion. So.
To me, it's like love, but it's also time.
I was thinking fate, but
I was saying like time in life.
Time in life.
Because like, especially life is like what something goes in a straight line, but yet ends by coming full circle. You could say life because life is like it feels like it's going in a straight line, but then like it only comes full circle at the end. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I can see all those. Like, I think it's something like it's supposed to be an answer that a human answers. It's like a personal answer to them, you know, where a robot
it's like what it means
struggles
to
with it. Yeah.
But then
I just love what he says to him because he's like, once you know the answer, you'll be the same as me, my brother.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
So it's literally an answer only human can answer.
Right,
Is what he's saying.
Yeah.
And I'll just say the
That's their
Bergsonian
rationale.
influence is like for Bergson, there's two types of time. There's mechanical time, which is like measurement time.
Yeah.
There's also duration, which is like life itself. It's like the what he calls live time. And so you could say that's the time that he's talking about, the life or whatever, like where ideas like love can exist, you know, where for a machine that kind of thing can't exist, and like if something that only exists in the present, you know, it doesn't have an idea of a past,
Yes.
you know. But yeah, basically it's still like it's a great ending though, like it seems like not a hard answer, but like
Yeah,
this is like what's
and then when he goes, and it ends by coming full circle. You're like, wait, what? No, it's just a fire quote too. Like,
it's more like this whole point of the movie. It's more like poetry.
no,
It's not supposed to have an answer.
Yes,
You know,
definitely.
like it's more like what feels like an answer to you, more than like a writer. Yes,
like
or
an
no
actual
answer.
riddle, like
yes, exactly.
constructed riddle.
Yeah.
But then we get a great scene of him like breaking down the door, all of a sudden, and then like.
Well, do you remember he's like, "Good luck trying to escape with those three men," and then he literally just easily like kills them. Like, when he comes out, it's so funny.
It's like so slick too. Like the way he's like cuts to the gun and like bang.
Well,
and,
doesn't the robot say good luck escaping? The door is barred, and he's like, we'll see about that. And then he just like busts out the door. I'm just like, what the hell? This is not acceptable.
No, and then like I'm pretty sure the gun he's using doesn't match the gun sounds he's using.
Does it actually not?
No, like I think he used a machine gun at one point too.
Damn.
So, you know, they have the pistols.
Oh damn. It's so crazy how he shoots.
I need to go back and watch that. I'm almost positive though.
But he's like basically this is like when like it goes full on like noir, like he's going full genre here, like
He's where we get the negative shot of him, like the negative of him walking out of this.
Well,
place.
that's right before that he sees them carrying in Natasha too.
Oh, okay.
And then he like lets him take her for now. Yes. So because obviously like I think this is when he like realized like okay like I obviously did something to her like so maybe I can like go and like maybe there's a chance to actually get her. I feel like this like thing because they're obviously taking her to go get interrogated because obviously he goes back there to get her later. But then he the negative shot him going to the police officer and telling him to take him here. He takes him. Hilarious shot when he immediately gets out, shoots the guy. It goes, "Now I know you'll keep your word." Like, but he's going to the lab basically where Professor von Braun works, and when he finds him, this is when he asks like, "Can you?" He asks him to come to the outer countries, and basically this guy refuses, and then his last words are "Goodbye, Mr. Caution," and then bang. It's just like so like.
Okay, do you remember the other kind of like you could say the classic hero line he gives?
What do you
Lemmy
say?
says? He's like, "Yes, I am afraid of death, but for a humble secret agent, it's an everyday thing, like whiskey, and I've been drinking all my life."
Damn. Okay, yeah, I forgot about that.
Like, damn, that's fire.
Oh my god. See, this is honestly those lines are a big part of why I love noir. Honestly,
it's like this clash between these two worlds almost.
Like,
This kind of like dry sci-fi world.
It's like.
And then like this like romantic hero almost in a way.
Okay, yeah.
Like the cinema romantic hero anyway.
Yeah. But then he is like escaping because now I think basically him killing him basically like has like disrupted like honestly like the wavelengths you could say because like now this is when everyone's like acting
Disrupted the hive.
weird as hell like acting like ants. He literally says.
This like amazing hallway shot when he's like when he says I was running along a straight line like a Dixon's Greek labyrinth in which philosophers and even a secret agent can get to story entrance.
Oh my god!
It reminded me a little of like the Inception hallway.
I can see that. Yeah.
Like I don't know, just such a great shot.
There's a lot of great hallway shots, like just him walking down hallways.
Yeah, but it's like this one like the world's kind of going crazy at this point.
Yes.
Maybe that's probably too with the negative shots we're getting.
Maybe.
Like the world's almost starting to invert. You know, you can say.
I can see that. Yeah.
Because first he stumps Alpha 60, now Von Braun, the scientist.
Yeah, now I'm interested to see if it's actually. Either way, it works.
Oh yeah, it's definitely intentional. But I don't know what the intention.
Yeah,
it's intentional, but like maybe just for effect. I don't know.
I
It's
don't
like
know,
outside of that. Maybe.
You never know what's going on. But this is when he gets to the fight scene with the. Because he like gets in this guy's car while he's like just waiting out there, and he's like the guy's like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yes, yeah.
And then they have this like they starts out like a slow-mo fight. But I'm pretty sure they actually went like it wasn't like he slowed down the film. It felt like they were actually going slower.
No, yes, they were.
And then it like they turned like statues in a way. It's like
and he's like framing.
Yeah, it's like crazy.
Like,
oh my god. because honestly, like, that's like probably like a low budget thing too, like for sure. Like, and you also see like the fake blood from the guy. Mm-hmm. Oh, might have been earlier actually.
When that was another gunshot. Yeah.
Because that's a big thing with Godard. Because like any like blood he usually has, it's like super fake.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna see in like Made in USA, and I think Pierrot as well. Like you could tell it's like bright red paint, basically.
Yes. What's that famous quote he has about red? He's like, I didn't want blood, I wanted red, or something like that.
I don't
know like the exact quote, but it's something like, I'll find it.
It'll fit next week. It'll fit for next week for sure. But then we get like a car chase when he like takes the guy's car, this is the first time we see like the snow. Because early in the film, like in the taxi, the girl explains to him that like there's like a sunny zone, and like a winter zone or like a snow zone. I mean, also they're in like the snow part of it because we also filmed this movie in winter. Cause like it started in like January of like 1965, the shoot. So you're seeing like the snow, like it's like a car chase in the snow. He does like a crazy like drift to try and juke them, and then like has to like back up basically because they like it didn't really work.
Honestly, those shots are cool.
Oh,
like when insane. You see all three cars turn at once.
Yeah, it's like unbelievable. Like the way he shoots these cars, and he like drives down some steps too. Like and this is when like he like finally escapes them because like this is when they like run into other cars like, and he like definitely jukes them out. And then I think because then I think we get a cut to Alpha 660 saying the president is terrifying because it is irreversible, and because it is cast in iron. Time is the substance in which I am made.
He says, "Time is a river that carries me along, but I am time. It is a tiger tearing me apart, but I am the tiger."
I am the tiger. Yes.
That's amazing. That's do you remember what line? My line reminded me of a movie. That's why I want to bring it up.
Tiger tearing. A Tropical Melody?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Because and I went back and looked at my notes, and the beginning of Tropical Melody has this quote from this guy named Tan Nakajima. He says, quote, "All of us are by nature wild beasts. Our duty as human beings is to become like trainers who keep their animals in check, and even teach them to perform tasks alien to their bestiality." I was like, damn. It kind of fits the same thing. Like, especially the ending of that movie, too.
Yes.
It's like that
coming face to face with
like that tiger.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it's like almost like this. Like, this is what life is in a way. It has both of these aspects to us. You know, because we've been saying, like, the rational is not untrue. You know, it's not saying, like, just only irrationality is true or anything.
Yes.
It's more like just both of these parts. Yes. You know, like, time is the river that carries me along, but I also am time. Like, how does that make sense in a way?
But basically, he's going basically to find Natasha now. Because we're now seeing, like, everyone's, like, acting weird as hell. And then he finds her in the... Because, he's like opening, because he's now in the hallway where Alpha 60s were earlier. Yeah. But instead of like relying on the voice, he's actually opening the doors, which I feel like means something. Like he's like rejecting the technology.
There's like that, or like the overarching voice is like not even working anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. And then he finds Natasha in that one room, and then he's like, she's like kind of being affected by it, of course. But he says, "We are happiness. That's where we are headed." And like when he's like helping her down the highway and the like lights are like flickering, it's like so crazy. Yes. It's unbelievable. And then like he tells her, not all the people of Alphaville died, but they were all afflicted. Those who were not associated by the lack of light scurried around madly like ants. But then this is the end, basically, when they're doing interstellar travel in a Ford galaxy, in a Ford basically. And then we get the "Don't Look Back," and basically he says you have to show me something that you're not them, basically. And this is when she goes, or what does he say specifically to get her to say, "I love you"? What's the...
He just says, "You have to do it yourself."
Oh, yeah.
She says something like, "I can't..." She says, "Help me" at first. And he's like, "I can't help you. You have to do it yourself."
Or you're going to be like them, basically. Yeah. And then...
He says to prove that you're not like them.
Yeah, prove you're not basically like them. And then she goes like, "I love you." And then like, "I love you."
And then that's
the ending. Like, yes. It's like, as you said, like one of his most hopeful endings, which is like...
Well, so apparently, because this last line, the "I love you" part, is significant also because we've been mentioning over a lot of these movies, like Godard is always having meta commentary on his life in general too. Because apparently, like they had divorced right before they started making this movie. Yes. And let me just read what Richard Brody says. He says, quote, "The main drama of the film would be the effort of Lemmy Caution to teach Karina's character to say the words 'I love you.' Through an extraordinary filter of genre, it would be a film in which Godard was desperate for life to imitate art."
Damn. Yeah. I remember reading that actually.
So basically, getting her to say "I love you" through
that's
just
crazy.
And then also to go what Blake said about this angel, like what Godard said about Alphaville is quote, a film about light. Lemmy is a character who brings light to people who no longer know what it is.
Yes.
And that fits like Sodom and Gomorrah perfectly. You know, it's like people that wanted this evil world, but they don't know how like bad it was actually going to be. You know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes. Yeah. Amazing movie though.
Yes.
Is this top tier Godard for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's the thing. I can't say because I haven't seen enough.
Right now. For right now.
Yes, for right now. Yes.
Nice. Well, that's
it's risen to good tier. So
good tier.
All right, we'll take that.
We'll take it.
We'll see what the rating says.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's better. It's better than Petit Soldat. So
Okay.
Well, yeah,
I agree
with
with
that.
that.
I think we all agree with that one.
Yeah. Although, like, who knows? If I rewatch like Petit Soldat, I might like it more too. So, like, it happens with a lot of Godard movies. It's why Breathless was
not a lot
like
of movies are better than Alphaville. That's all I'm saying. It's like unbelievable. But anyway, next week, two bangers. Pierrot Le Fou, 1965, and then Made in USA, which is in 1966. So, until next time, hope to see you floating through the clouds.